Good evening. Welcome to Outside the Box. You're on Critical Mass Radio. I'm your host, Kate of Gaia, and of course, co-host Tony Z. Another open forum tonight, and I think we'll cover a whole bunch of different things. Lots of questions today from people. I actually lost count, so I just got to locate Tony on the board here, and we'll get right into it. Where are we here? There you are. Thank you for hitting one. I'll put you right at the top of the board, Tony. Much appreciated. And of course, Carol, I'll unmute your mic as well, just in case we have technical hack issues, which is fairly normal for us. And that's a good thing. It means we're stepping all over some pretty intense nerves. That's all I care about. So anyway, yeah, interesting day. Couldn't get anything done. Anything that I wanted to get done anyway. That's not unusual either. But certainly a few concepts working on here. And those will be brought forth as I have the time and the peace to do it. So anyway, let's get into some things. Tony, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, Kate. Good grief, I caught the mute button straight off.
I know, that was pretty quick. I'm impressed. Uber radio dude, I love it.
Yeah, well, that's one of those things again. I guess you've had a similar sort of day to me. It's as I have. It's just like one of those sort of like waning moments, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, am I doing enough? What else can I do? You know, I've got to. What else can I actually get done that's going to make a bigger difference? I'm not making big enough difference. You know, what else is there?
Well, that's the thing is, and that's one of the things that I find, especially people that are doing the kind of stuff that we're doing, either on or off air, it doesn't really matter. That's the whole point of this, as long as people are doing, kind of go through that a lot. One of the things, and I always have to be very mindful of it, actually I was having a little chat with Carol just before we went on the air there. I'll share that analogy now because I think it's a very pertinent analogy with regards to ego. And there's a couple of very critical issues that I want to cover with people, and I really hope people actually let it sink in this time. Okay, the analogy is this. If you can consider the ego, everyone has one. Everyone. All right? So don't think that I don't have an ego. Yeah, you do. I do. Everyone does. I'll tell you what the difference is, though. The ego's like a pit bull. Right? A very vicious pit bull, far stronger than you if it's not carefully kept in check, and you'll see that very evident day after day with people, especially in the mindless babble you might find yourself caught in, and 99.9% of the population is typically running around with that pit bull running loose, and don't have any commands for it. Most of them don't even realize they have the pit bull. And I'd say that there are many that do and can keep it somewhat in check, only when they notice it. And then there are others, a very small minority of people that actually know they have a pit bull, or a chainsaw as I call it. We'll stick to the pit bull analogy. And I keep mine on a very short leash, and it's a choke chain. And on occasion, what I like to do is I'll take that pit bull if I have to, and I'll loosen the chain a bit. And it's very much akin to you walking up to someone with a pit bull on a leash, and that dog doesn't quite like you, and it takes a lunge at you. And if the one controlling the pit bull isn't holding onto that leash very tightly, something's going to get shredded. Now, on occasion, this is what I was talking to Carol about, I keep mine in a very tight little kennel. And every so often, there is a requirement to bring it out. And that is only to match the other pit bulls. And I assure you, I have a monster pit bull when I want to let it go. And that's not bragging. That's a fact. Because here's the thing. When you have a very well-trained pit bull, you can train it to attack exactly where you need it to. And people really just need to get this concept. because the amount of harm that pit bull can do without you controlling it properly is incredible. And that's how I'm going to segue into the next few comments I'm going to make with regard to linguistics. And that's why I call it mindless babble. See, here's the thing. For anyone that's listened to any of these shows for any length of time, I've been doing them for a long time. The subjects have changed somewhat, but the concepts, they've been pretty much the same the whole way down. And I had many wonderful conversations with people, very enlightened conversations, where I was able to discern a whole lot more out of this. And that includes the guests and, of course, Tony, everyone that's involved, people calling in and whatever. Because while I do a lot of talking, I prefer to listen. Because I want to see what's ticking. I want to see, what I need to learn without, trying to superimpose my ideals or ideas upon your beautiful white canvas. Well, most of the canvases out there, I'm sure you're probably aware, that have been shit on, smeared on, garbage covered, coated, where most people can't even recognize their own canvas because everyone else on the planet, parents, family, society, culture, religion, politics, news, you name it, have spent a lifetime dropping literally tons of shit on the canvas. So that's the problem. Most people can't even see their own canvas anymore. They have no idea who they are. And all I'm trying to do is take a nice big scraper to it, or a sandblaster for that matter, and clear that off so you can actually see that. But here's the problem that I see mostly. You see, we're living in a very magical world. That's going to be a difficult one for most people to grasp. A lot of you are grasping that. This is Oz. And one of the things that I want to make very clear, that until you realize, if you can read and write, I'm going to show you how deadly you are with everyone around you. You see, what they did to us was not only did they give us a language, or we consented to use a language. Of course, it's what my parents taught me was English. Later on, they actually cast a spell by getting you into places like their public schools to learn how to write their sigils properly, so that when you speak, their sigils are empowered. That's why paper is so powerful, because it's all magical symbols. These are all sigils. And because you have the gift of reading and writing, you also have the added responsibility of everything you utter is sigilized. Because most people don't even know what they're saying most of the time. I would actually hazard to say most people don't know what they're saying all of the time, where everything is an assumed. Right, or right. Go ahead, spell it for me. Which one did I just say? And only 25% of you are going to be right. Right, or right. So it's a 75% assumption of error. At least those are the standard odds anyway. Could be more, could be less. I spelled it W-R-I-G-H-T, by the way, so if you thought that was the one I was referring to. But do you understand what I'm doing now? Do you understand the power of putting a spirit breath, your language, your intent, your power, your voice? You are creation itself. And you better wake up to this. An interesting couple of posts from Kishi. Thank you very much. This is another point. This is how I'm going to drive this one home. If you're sitting around a lot of people that are talking about negative stuff all the time, health issues and what have you, with them not understanding the power of the language they're speaking, they're cursing everyone and everything around them. And I'm talking universe-wide. That's why silence is golden. I come across a lot of times where the ego or the pit bull, and they do love to talk. Oh my God. Talking pit bulls. Imagine that. Whether it's through voice or through sigilling, writing, whatever you want to call it. You see, here's one of the lucky gifts that I have, and I don't consider it very lucky because it is to a certain extent. But I don't need people to explain much to me because I can get the intent through the sigils they print or type or whatever. It's not a fun gift, where somebody might say something and later on say they're kidding about it, and I know otherwise. I don't care. It's what was the intent. And here's the thing, the intent will always carry through in the sigil. This is how powerful this is. This is how they've ruled this place, by shoving us onto paper. So for me, this is one of the final keys of disconnecting the spell and the spell binding that we've been under for so very, very long. It's where we need to disembowel the sigils. And I've got a couple of things that I want to be writing over the next day or so when I get time, when my cell phone isn't going off or when I'm not getting texted left, right, and center. See, here's the thing that most people don't. I make myself available, absolutely. Absolutely. I make a point of that. All I ever ask is for people to be a little bit mindful. And because I'm dealing with between 100 and 200 people a day. All different. Some people, inner circle, kind of, that have been around for a while, and what have you. But this is where people need to start expanding their own minds and realizing that there is more than you, because you are all. That's all. So when you're speaking, please be mindful. If you have nothing good to say or nothing positive to speak about, and if your intention isn't quite pure, I will kindly ask you to shut the fuck up. Because you're making a dog's dinner for the pit bull. And that's the message I want to convey tonight. It's the only one. Just be mindful that everything you say is creation itself. And it's manifested even more powerfully by the sigils that they are attached to. And you're not creating for you necessarily, but you are creating. What was the intent behind, as we found out the other night from Michael, I believe it was Michael that shared it, what was the intent behind copyrighting the question mark by the Rosicrucians? Do you know why they copyrighted it? Now look at the word copyright. They're trying to mimic creation, the right hemisphere. You have copy left, you have copyright. That's why I don't copyright anything, because my creations are pure. I don't copy anything. I'm original. And that's what we all need to be. We all need to be original. We need to be of our own white canvas. Stop buying the lies that people have told you for a lifetime. And that's all they've been. That's all they have been. You want proof of that? Just look out your door. Look out your window. Look at all the stories of, rogue cops. And for me now, they're all rogue. They're all bought and paid for. They're pit bulls that are running around that haven't even got a hint of a collar, let alone a leash. Same with your politicians. Same with all your clergy. Their days are over. And the more we reinforce negative ideas, the longer their days last. So when you're bitching about something, you might want to change your mind and how you speak, because who actually created it? Was it you or someone else? And again, if you think someone else, then you're missing the most important thing that you need to use. It's your mirror. Because all the creation is a reflection of you, as it is me. And I spend my time, a lot of my time, going through to see what kind of luggage I still have hanging on that I need to confront, either from this lifetime or any other. And what they've done with our brains, especially, the brain is actually, for me, it's essentially a transceiver. It's just, it's meat. It's an interface. You don't store any memories in your brain. Okay, they can't cut your brain open and oh look, there's that memory. Quite honestly, with the amount of data that's coming in, both visually and sonically and tactile sensations and all the rest of it, excuse me, it has been calculated that the brain could only hold, with the number of cells that are in it, could only hold roughly 3 months of memories. Now, as we get a bit older, I can most certainly recall a lot more than 3 months of memories. People ask me, how do I remember things? Well, I just do. And I kind of think I know why now. I think I've known for a long time. But what the brain is and why they went after it, they wanted to interrupt your radio frequency. Right? That's why they go after the frequency waves and what have you. Because with your brain being a transceiver, what it is it's a physical, bio interface between you, the higher self, and you, the meat stick, right? And the memories we call on are those that are stored with your spirit, with the higher self, you. And what's happening here is they're running interference so that, people, let's give you an example. People with a very poor memory have a very poor connection with their higher self. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. I can make it complicated, but that's the only thing that really makes sense to me, because I have to assume that not everyone's brain is the same size. I've met some very small people with ratio-wise smaller brains that are far more brilliant than some jarhead that weighs 300 pounds and has a head on the size of a watermelon. That basically has a lot of issue just trying to remember their badge number and name. Okay, it's because they don't have any interface with their higher self, if they even have one. You'll find a lot of these entities don't, but that's irrelevant. That's another show. It's another On the Riverbank with Hemi Hamster episode. But again, this goes right back, for me, it goes right back to taking full responsibility for the things that we not only do, because those are the net results of our thoughts, our intents, right? It's the things we say, which for me is the most powerful of all. In the beginning there was the Word, and that came from the thought, right, out of creation itself. So I don't know about you, but if I look around me and I see this, wonderful land of Oz that we're in, and this particular dimension, I'd say that was a pretty powerful thought, or 2, or 4, or 8, or 16, 32, 64. Let's go fractal, infinitely, shall we? And that's the power you have. You've always had that. And there have been a very few clever aspects of our consciousness that have went a little rogue and have decided to take over as much of it as they can. And based on what I see around this planet, they've done a pretty bang-up job. But here's the good news. Always good news. One awakened being takes care of 200,000 of those. Sleepies, I like to call them. I was there once. That's how I know, because I have the contrast. I think back 10 years ago, and I was, as alert as I was and as, quote, intelligent as I could seem, I was effectively catatonic compared to now. I was in a coma. I do want to touch on a few other issues that people have brought up with regards to fear, and of course, there is a lot of perceived fear. There is no real fear here. You see, fear is a thought, and it's something that you can manifest for yourself, and somebody can plant a seed for you, and then you can go off in all these directions. I've dealt with so many people that, the minute you tell them that you're not, carrying ID of any kind and driving or doing whatever, they go into all these fear porn scenarios, and I just tell them, shut up. And that's one of the reasons why I have an issue hanging around with a lot of people in the physical, because when I get into their aura, it can affect me, and I have enough to deal with. Trying to sort myself out without having to take someone else's garbage and not only shield my canvas from it, but push it back. This is why I ask people to be mindful of what they're saying. If they're going to come at you, or come at me, don't worry, the pit bull's there. I'll let it off the leash. And I promise you, it's a nasty, nasty pit bull. Why? Because I have no time for garbage that has been sprayed all over you. By your own consent or ignorance or whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter. Because here's the joy of this. I see you. And I say this pretty much every show. I see you. I know how beautiful you are. And I will stop at nothing. Nothing. Because my only hope is that you get a chance, for probably the first time in a very long time, to actually see who and what you are. And you're certainly not that tricky little bastard. I think it's worthwhile. And I take a lot of licks for it too. Gladly. Because I know the prize is worth it. At the end of the journey, the prize will be worth it. It is already, you know. So if you're going to sit around and talk about things of a negative nature, meat stick oriented, you know, health issues and all the rest of it, excuse me, I would say speak in a positive sense of healing versus the opposite. Because you are what you eat, you are what you say, you are what you think, you are what you do, you are everything. I'm not sure about the all of creation most people missed. I kind of said, okay, that works for me. I am one of the all and all of the one, just like you. And I would only hope that you care enough about me as I care about you. I think you're worth it, because I know I am. And if I didn't think I was worth it, what would that make you? And there we are, divided and conquered otherwise. I think we've had enough of that little charade. Anyway, so this is... I think this is going to be a bit more of a serene sort of call tonight. I want to get to some very basic concepts with people. And the most important thing, and I'll talk about this till I'm blue in the face, because I know I've talked about it many times. We're dealing in a spellbound realm here, boys and girls. Spellbound, literally by the sigil. And I've got a couple of things that like I said, I wanted to get working on it today. Unfortunately, I've got this 11th house Aquarian friends thing going on where if somebody tags me, I will answer them. You know, so I'm a damned if you do and damned if you don't, right? So there you go. That's why I ask people to be mindful, because, yeah, I will reply to you. And if I have 150 people tagging me every day, that ties up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes each. Start calculating. I mean, I was on the air yesterday, well, actually, on the air about 8 hours, and on with talking with people, probably close to 9.5 hours yesterday. So I don't get a lot done when I'm doing that either, but I do get a lot done because I get an opportunity to share information. It's very hard to gather up new information if you're continually talking about the old. I like to stay pre-sent, you know, a little bit ahead of now. That's where creation is, and that's where it exists. But anyway, Tony, Carol, why don't you guys jump in and share some of your thoughts?
Yep, okay. You got me the second time. Some of my thoughts, okay, basically. Putting a basic spin on it. I think if we can actually go to the mirror and look in the mirror, each of us that are listening to these calls, and ask yourself a question. And that question is, how much of an impact have I made today on the world around me? In other words, have you contacted an old friend or somebody that you think just might listen if you try to explain some information to them? Have you spoke to somebody who's going in for cancer treatment or something and said, you know, there might be another way to deal with this? Have you spoke to a little old lady at the bus stop and said you might want to check out, you know, those meds that they're putting you on? Have you spoke to anybody and tapped anybody on the shoulder and basically said, you know, do you helped them to maybe wake up a little bit? Have you said, you know, you should check out Kate and Tony's show, or you should check out Syncrenicity, or, you know, oh, there's a good article I saw on this particular subject. If you find you're in a conversation whereby you can just give somebody a little bit of a nudge and just say, oh, yeah, you know, somebody might be talking about, oh, I've got a headache. Oh, well, you know, you're taking aspirin for that, I guess. Yeah. Well, you might want to think twice about that, and there might be an alternative. Or I was listening to the show the other day, they were talking about minerals and vitamins and how the health system works. Have you taken the opportunity to insert a little bit of information? It doesn't really matter how small, or just planted one of those seeds that you talk about, Kate, with anybody. And that's the thing. You know, somebody starts talking about something, it can be any subject, and you can just find a little tiny crack in that subject, you know, nice and subtly, and just say, well, you know, you might want to check this out, or have you heard about that, or checking out this great website the other day, or saw this great clip on YouTube about this geezer. You know, whatever it is, law, medicine, any type of awareness trigger at all. And it can literally be anything from a woman at the grocery store to somebody at the bus stop. You know, just paying attention and just give somebody a wry sort of smile, you know, when they're putting in their credit card and saying, yeah, it'll be a bloody chip next, love, look out. Do you know what I mean? And just give them something to think about. Because that's the thing that I've been thinking on today, apart from anything else. I listened tonight to an interview, a 3-part interview, which is now on the front page of Syncrenicity, because I know it is extremely important. And it's about the chemtrail situation. They're spraying the shit out of us people. And the only reason that they're doing it is because they're getting away with it. The only reason they're getting away with it is acquiescence. And hence the point of me questioning myself today, saying, well, look, I'm doing the website, I'm doing the Facebook, I'm doing the radio programs, I've written a solid book. You know, what else can I do? And I'm thinking, well, maybe you could try talking to the people you're talking to and asking them to maybe take a little bit more on their shoulders and try and take the responsibility of just trying to put a change into the way they interact with the people around them on an everyday basis. And if you don't do that, maybe take a walk down the bus stop and go to the local grocery store and try it. Phone an old friend you ain't seen for 10 years and say, oh, you know, how's it going, mate, blah, blah, blah. How was you getting on with that gammy leg you had? Because I was listening to the show the other week and I thought you might like, you know, some important information that I think might help you. Oh, well, I'll try anything. I've had this for 10 years. Great. So you've done the guy a favour. That's the situation, and I think that's the mindset we need to be getting across to people that are listening tonight. You don't have to do everything to do. I wouldn't wish that my worst enemy if you had to go through what Kate's gone through or go through, you know, what we're going through. But the point of the matter is, at least if you're doing something, and at least if my words are resonating with you tonight, and you're going, yeah, fuck, he's right, you know. I've got to look myself in the mirror, and can I actually look at my face and smile to myself and say, yeah, I've done something to wake somebody up, or I've actually tried a bit harder today. Even if you didn't manage to pull it off, it's all right. You tried, but at least you've made the effort. And again, you were talking about how your brain has to engage the thought before you raise your arm for the pen. The same thing. You know, at least try and help people out and help people to wake up, and maybe give them a little bit of the benefit of your wisdom and your knowledge, because you're obviously listening to this program, and maybe those you haven't told anything about this program to are not. That's the difference. Maybe they should be, because the fact of the matter is that at the end of the day, you know, we need to do as much as we can do in order to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and go, yeah, I did what I could today. I actually made that. Because, I mean, when you start doing that and make that little change, that little effort, you'll actually quite like it. Because you'll be like, yeah, shit, I made a difference today. I'm really pleased with myself. Or, you know, I actually, wow, that woman really listened to me today when I spoke to her. You know, that shopkeeper really understood that, you know, I'm paying for this shit and I'm living on a planet where I have to pay to be alive. I mean, crikey, some woman walked out in front of a bus the other day after the council had taken her to court for bedroom tax. She went quietly over to her neighbour's house. She dropped the keys in through the neighbour's letterbox. She walked out onto a main road and she walked smack bang straight into a lot straight.
All right. That's enough. That's enough for your Tony. That's enough for your porn bud, please. Okay.
I'm asking people to make a difference.
Yeah, well, that's not going to make a difference. Okay.
Well, help.
Sorry, man. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the pictures that we paint. All right.
All I'm saying is it would be nice to hear people that have actually gone out there and said, right, I've actually done something today, and I've actually helped to wake a couple of people up. That's my point. I respect it.
Totally. That's totally acceptable. Sorry, just when when people start painting pictures of, not a chemtrail in the sky, by the way. Why? Because I don't want any. I choose. I know on my guard stand. And again, it's about reinforcing ideas. It's like I was saying yesterday, I guess it was yesterday, Sunday. As I was on the show with Janice. By the way, nothing got recorded other than the commercials. How ironic is that? Well, at least it went into the Akashic, huh? But that's all good. What I was talking about with the commercials, here's a radio station that's promoting freedom and awakening and all the rest of it. And every commercial I heard, all it was doing was reinforcing fear porn. Get supplies, and of course, Alex Jones and Monsanto. We're not going to have anything but those seeds. Yeah, it was pure propaganda. You can listen to it one of two ways. You might assume the intent is to wake somebody up, but quite frankly, all it is an attempt to keep people down. The deceivers are everywhere. You might want to look in the mirror. You might find one, or two, or three. It's my point. This is what I'm getting at. It's about how we speak. The most important thing that you need to do, at least is what I found for me, is I had to get my world right. I had to get my vibration high and hold it. And things change around you. You don't have to, physically do things. You don't. But I'll tell you something. Good idea. And without having to feel the need to wake anybody up, just put a smile on your face and say hi to somebody. We're going to walk right through your aura, right through your energy field. You see, this is a hidden that most people don't think of. And this is the realm I live in. And again, every word uttered, it's getting harder and harder to fend this garbage off, because there's so much of it. And maybe I'm just getting more sensitive to it. But this is about being mindful of everything. Everything. Did I say everything? 3 times the charm. Everything you say. You're creating. Every time we utter anything without understanding what the sigils are and what the power is of it, you're speaking.
Tony, are you there? Tony?
Yeah, I'm here, Carol.
Okay, honey. I think we lost Kate, didn't we?
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yep.
Probably pop back on at any second and, jump out of us. All good.
Well, I'll tell you what, the energies are so strange. I was telling Kate before the call opened up, we get on and kind of visit so we don't use her minutes, on her personal phone, and so that we take that time to share a little bit. We never get very much time, but I've been sleeping so much I can't sleep. I got my days and nights mixed up, so I don't get as much sleep through the night as I would like to, but usually I only sleep 2 to 3 or 4 hours at a time anyway, but my goodness, today I've just been sleeping most all day. They must really be downloading me. Are you guys getting downloads too by deep sleeps, throughout the day?
It's to do with the alignments of the planets.
Yes. Understood.
I can't remember the exact planet, but it's squaring today, which means it's completing its cycle.
It may be Uranus, and is it Uranus and Pluto?
It may be. I've got to admit, I'm not an expert on this stuff. This is why we've got a guy called Santo,
Mm-hmm.
But I certainly felt it today. It's been one of them deflating days.
Ain't it fun, huh?
Yeah, well, it is. But it certainly makes you reflect, doesn't it?
And when we're ready for something, universe makes sure we get it. It's one of those things that when the student is ready, the teacher appears somehow.
Absolutely. Yeah, it has been strange. The energy has been really strange. But I did feel the need to be able to reach out to the listeners tonight and just say, well, look, please try and make a difference. Try and just go that extra yard, that extra bit, because it's just one of those things. We've got to all do what we can. This is why we're here.
Well, you know, what I've shared with my phone family for years is most people don't like to be talked to about new things like that. I mean, it gets back to the same old thing, humans don't like change, and so I just encourage everybody to drop a seed every now and then let somebody else water it and nurture it, you know, and nothing with any planned effort or whatever, but when you feel that opportunity that somebody is ready, because there's a lot of people out there that are new souls that are not wanting to learn about this type of stuff, and they fight it. You know, you've heard the term Bible thumper.
Yeah, of course I have.
Well, there's a lot of Bible thumpers out there, and every time one starts in on me, I put a psychological block wall up between them and me, and I don't want to hear anything they have to say. So anytime anybody starts trying to educate me about something that I'm not ready for, I just kind of shut down, you know.
Yeah, well, I take it a bit further than that. I start. Oh, is that right? You know, what's it all about? You know, and I start investigating and finding those cracks. I'm going to have to record. There is a situation I've actually thought about before about recording a particular Jehovah's Witness that comes round, and I think I might just do that for shits and giggles or whatever.
Oh well, now those people, you know, when I moved from California to Salt Lake City, Utah, back in the late '60s, I had made the mistake in California of becoming a friend with one of these Jehovah's Witnesses, and I'll be a son of a gun. I could not believe it. I wasn't in my new house in Salt Lake City one day or 2 days, I think, before I had two Jehovah's Witnesses on my front porch, and I thought to myself, I mean, this is when I was pretty young, too, you know, and I thought, holy cow, this is getting to be a problem. I can see a problem brewing here. I shut it down real quick, you know, but, yeah, they have vice grips for jaws, you know. I mean, they get a hold of you and they won't turn loose.
Yeah, I know, and this is the point. You can't, you know, they can't defend against the truth. You know, you can ask them what's in the vaccine, and if they can't answer, you can inform them. You know, and these sorts of things, you can't hide from this stuff. So
still with a fear porn. Okay, can we lose the terminology, please, guys?
Okay. Yeah, whatever.
It's negative reinforcement. Okay. This is I
was talking in context before you came on, Kate.
I realize that. Okay. I'm trying to get people out of the negative context system speak. Trigger words, you know. That's all. Because the pictures that have been painted for so very long get reactivated and get re-empowered every time we utter them. I'm not saying ignore everything. There's a way to spin it back. And this is where we're going. This is what we have to do. You want to reverse the spell, and we got to start reversing the spell.
Exactly what I was explaining how to do with Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, well, okay.
Thank you. That's the point. Anyway, carry on.
No, go ahead. Knock yourself out. I'm good. We have a caller here, by the way. I should probably bring them in. Here we go. Area code 702. Carol, your line's open too, hon. Feel free to jump in at any point. Area code 702.
Hi, Kate. How are you?
Good. How are you?
It's Sarah. How are you? How's everybody doing?
Oh, awesome. What's on your mind?
Great. You know, I just wanted to say that you're right about the fear porn. I was posting some stuff earlier, and that was, you know, to me, I kind of consider it to be a form of awareness. But, you know, for some people, they're not ready for it, and so you can't always put it out there for them. But this isn't the time for it. The energy is shifted, and it's a time for everybody to get in that state of love. It's really important that we start saying I love you to one another more often.
Yeah, I would sooner hear that than someone coming up to me trying to tell me all about chemtrails. It's time to jar their existence. Okay? Yeah, let's deal with what we've already got. We already know this stuff, okay? Yeah, there are enough people that are awake. You know, this is assuming that everyone's asleep. No, I know that far more are awake than asleep. No! There are far more people wondering what's going on than not. Even the ones mindlessly going to their concerts and going to their different rituals and what have you, they're still even questioning on a daily basis certain aspects of what's going on. You know, because even in mainstream, you're still going to be seeing some of the things that are getting shown 1,000 times more in the alternative stream. But it doesn't matter because it's getting into the Akashic anyway. It's getting into the consciousness. This is what I'm saying. This is where I'm asking people to be the gods that they are and start manifesting from this side of it instead of theirs. You know? But you're absolutely right. You know, I would sooner have someone come up to me and say, you know what? I love you. And you wouldn't, yeah, you would believe. Because I do it all the time. Anytime I'm out, I'm talking to someone, I look them square in the eyes and say, by the way, I love you. And their whole energy shifts. I don't need to tell them about anything. You know, just show them that they're appreciated and that I see them. That's all it takes. And you change. You want to. I was going to say you want to change someone's day. There it is. You know, dare to say hi, dare to smile, dare to, you know, make their day better. In a positive.
No, that's exactly what I'm picking up. You know, it's pretty much we have to move away from the fear. In fact, we have to move away from everything that's old. We need to now just create what it is. You know, we have to take our power back and really create what it is that we want to create with our love and our energy. And we're going to wake up more people with the love than we are going to wake them up with the fear porn.
Absolutely. You know, we've already come through it. I mean, this is exactly what the people like Alex Jones and the rest of these guys are all that they're doing. They're keeping people focused on the physical nonsense. They're keeping people focused on the unrealities. You know, they're keeping people energized with all this, you know, hate, anger, and I got to get even vengeance. That's exactly the energy they want. I'm just not buying it.
I believe I was telling you the other day that the only way to make this normal is to actually sit and talk about it all the time. You know, I nowadays when you look on the internet, you see more and more people sharing their spiritual experiences. But however, we need to be loud and talk about it, just like we talk about the reality shows that we watch, or the you know, I don't even know what's out there anymore. I don't even pay attention to any of these things anymore. But you know, the drama that we've been involved in and paying attention to, we need to forget about that and talk about the spiritual side of it all. Talk about the love, because this is really going to make the biggest difference. This is us, and people don't seem to understand it because they've been brainwashed like crazy.
That's what I was saying about talk about, you know, the healing, how people can take vitamins and nutrients and heal themselves.
Well, yeah, and I'm not picking on you, Tony, but I'm going to show you exactly what that does. When you're talking about that, that's already an assumption that someone is sick, and you're reinvigorating that concept with them. I know what you're saying. Instead of talking to someone about it, if you have something that may be able to help them, give it to them.
Well, hey, that's what I'm saying. You don't need to be. This is what I just said. Just give them a solution. Not necessarily, you know, what's said, word for word, well, you might want to try this, or you might want to see this, or you might want to hear this, or you might want to look at this. As in,
well, here's a different approach. And this one just came in to me on Skype. Here's a different approach. Try this on someone. Right out of the gate. Hey, tell me what lights you up. What sets your heart on fire? And I guarantee you that energy is going to shift anyway. And you're already healing them without even offering anything and reinforcing anything that needs healed. By the way, now that we're on this, someone called me today looking for information on how to get a hold of, via phone or whatever. I don't have none of this information. You do, Tony. Getting a hold of either Sandy or Paul Dean or someone in the healing oil. How can they contact them via telephone?
Well, via telephone. Well, I suppose that, as I've said on the shows, all they need to do is join Syncrenicity and personal message me, or get on Facebook, or get on my website. Okay.
Telephone for a reason, because some people don't have access to the internet. That's what I'm getting at, you know. So yeah, if we can track a phone number down, that would be awesome. So
we will be able to. Just put them in touch with me for now, and that'll do for now. I'll get one.
All right. Well, anyway, just keep listening, and we'll get that information to you. Again, that's as I said to the individual that called me, it's not my area, and that's more your side of things. So I have a tendency just to stay on the energy side of things. So, and it's all good. So I just, if we can get a number or something for people to contact, that would be great. You know, and all things, you know, all things for a reason, right? But,
hey, Kate.
Yeah.
Kate. Honey, Sarah may want to mute her phone. There's a tremendous amount of background, children or something, a lot of noise.
Yes, let me mute it. Thank you.
Thank you, dear one. Okay, thanks so much.
Yeah, I was gonna, thank you, Carol. And by the way, your mic's open on this end, so when you want to jump in, just jump in, okay? When I open mics up on this board, they stay open. All I ask for is if you have mute, please do that. Other than that, I kind of have to mute on this end, and I hate doing that because I don't want to exclude anyone from this at all, ever. You know, I'm kind of one of those anti-radio hosts, you know? It's like, okay, next caller. You know, no, I'm not like that. It's like, everybody in. Speaking of, we got one in from 303, and I know who this is. Hello, Tracy.
Hello?
Is this Tracy?
Hi, yes. Hi, Kate.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you, hon?
Good. Yeah, I got your message earlier. Thank you.
Sorry about that. It might have been too personal or whatever.
Oh, no. Please, you know, hey, listen, there are no secrets in the universe. That's another illusion people have.
Exactly.
Another big illusion.
Agree. I was listening to your energy, and it seems very low.
Oh, I've been drained today.
I was wondering if something happened.
No.
And no, are you sure?
No. This is just a normal day, getting slaughtered on all levels energetically, and I'm just trying to hold my position while I'm dealing with the same things that I deal with every day. This is why I'm trying to convey this tonight, because I would love some peace. I really would, and I'm getting hammered left, right, and center.
Okay. Well, maybe if that's the case, maybe I can offer something. Maybe you can take my peace.
Sure, absolutely. All are welcome, all concepts.
And maybe we could just take this energy, if you want to, and just flip it around. You know, we all have those kind of days, so I totally understand. I think it's kind of important, though. These down energies are also important, though. So if you think it's helpful to discuss down energy, you know, because I don't think it's I don't believe in happy hands advice and stuff. I think they're both important. But if you'd like to switch it, then we can switch the energy right now. I can give you some of mine.
Well, I'm actually working on switching it, too, and I will take any positive energy anyone flows. Absolutely. Like I said,
well,
I woke up in a great mood, you know, but what happened during the course of the day is I'm trying to formulate things, and, you know, because people, when they come to these shows, they want some new information. They want, you know, and I rely heavily on and I get very little mental downtime.
Right.
It's a deliberate fight that I actually have to force myself to shut down. And as I said before, there's my, 5 planets in the 11th house, Aquarius, the house of friends. It's just a party up here, you know. And of course, then you got the double Mercury flying and Leo ascendant. It's all juiced. So it takes very severe conscious effort on my part to go, Kate, shut up. And I do it.
Kind of like last night when I think it was Michael. I think it was Michael discussing that when the download hits, all the neurons and stuff spark up, and it can be like a meltdown in a way. So your energy is always like on that kind of level. Is that what you mean?
Permanently, yes.
Oh, well.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Hey,
I've got the pit bull on the short leash and the choker. See, these are the things, and this is one of the things I will say to fellow Geminians, or anyone that's got a Gemini influence, either first deacon Cancer, third deacon Taurus, because you're going to be pulling these energies in. Yeah. One of the things that a Gemini has to learn to do, at least this one did, was learn to shut it up and shut it down. Because that's the lesson for me. It's like, can I, take your zodiac and see what your strength is, and that's the one thing. I use my mirror sign as an example. Sagittarius is the mirror to Gemini, and their motto is "I see," right? And what I needed to do was shut down my "I think" and start adapting the opposite mirror of "I see," and utilizing that more without so much thinking going into it, just being the neutral observer, and vice versa. What the Sagittarian to the Gemini mirror needs to do, I'm just giving an example here, is they need to stop with the looking all the time, right? Because that's what the Centaur is the tallest in the zodiac. They're looking over everything. That's their motto. That's why it's IC. And what they need to do is stop looking and think more. So instead of just looking and going blah, 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 there it is. No, every zodiac is Epimetheus and Prometheus. Now, for those that don't know, for the story,
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was trying to offer kind of a midway between Tony. I'm a Taurus, and I have a full Scorpio moon. So in a way, we're very different. However, I can give you grounding, depth, and full stop. You can simply full stop. That was the energy I was trying to give to you. It is a not thinking, my zodiac. It's a full being, very deep and very up, very earth, grounding.
Yeah, the Taurus is I have, and that is the grounding, right?
Yeah.
Like your mirror is Scorpio, which is the I want, right? So there's again.
They go deep. I don't know if.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So
they research. They need to know.
Yeah, it's very helpful. Absolutely. If you want to get an idea of your heaven testifying for you, look at your own zodiac. Pay attention to it.
Okay, well, I was just giving you that energy.
Oh, no,
because I know it's you have a lot of air and fire, so I was just going to give you some earth and water.
Oh, absolutely, and greatly appreciated.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, it kind of helps to have the Virgo moon, too, right? So.
Oh, my gosh. You are, oh, my gosh. You make me laugh. I know exactly what you're saying. Good luck to you, sir. Yeah. Anyway, I still offer you my earth and water.
I am fully accepted. Without obligation, either way, isn't it great?
Oh, absolutely not. Take it or leave it.
Absolutely. Now, I wanted to share the Prometheus, Epimetheus with every zodiac. Prometheus was the one who thought first and acted after. Epimetheus is the one that acted first, then thought about it. And when you apply that to each of, like your sign and your mirror, which is, like I said, Gemini to Sag, Prometheus and Epimetheus work on both at the same time. So it might sound complicated, but it's not. It's just taking the time to really gaze yourself, to find out, what's making you tick. Another handy thing to do is make sure it's you that's thinking. That's how tricky the tricky little bastard can be, right?
Me, myself, and I. Ego is a totally self-bred program.
You got it.
That most people think is I.
Absolutely, and that's why when I was talking to Carol before the call here, and when it comes to it, because this is just my nature, I see the beauty in everyone and everything, and all I want to do is see it. And then everyone comes out with their big paint roller of dog shit. And
I do understand.
So what I'm going to do is I've got a pressure washer permanently on high.
Those are so fun. Oh my.
So you come to me with a roller full of shit, and I'm going to pressure wash you.
Especially with the Virgo moon. Hello. Nothing better.
Yeah. So that's. And here's the thing. The first thing that's going to happen, I'll tell you the ego reaction. The first thing that's going to happen is somebody's going to get angry at me. And it won't be them. Because if I knew my true intent, which is to I want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to that little nasty thing. Right?
That's why I was saying, did something happen? Because who got angry at you, or why do you care? Actually, my question is, why do you care?
Well, I do care because when here's me. I'll share this with you. When I can't get completed what I want to get completed to offer others, I get really, really down on myself.
Yeah, but that's an investment. You're already completing those who already understand that it's already complete.
I realize that. Take it from the I got to be on the air every night thing. So I want to make sure that I'm bringing something new. That I spend.
You know what's new?
All day. Right. What's that?
Old is new. Why don't you whip out the freaking guitar?
With the what?
You need to whip out the guitar.
No, hey.
That'll change everything. We both know it will.
Well, it's a little bit cold to be playing tonight, but yeah, it's about maybe 5-6 degrees here, so it's been freezing the last couple of days.
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I'm in America. It's freaking too hot for me now.
Yeah, so it plays havoc with the guitar.
Oh.
I do.
Well, that would change everything.
Oh yeah, but absolutely. I did go through All Lang Syne, same All Lang Syne, Dan Fogelberg. What was the other one I went through? Longer. I mean, I remember.
Now, God damn it, you're an artist masturbating in your head and not sharing. That kind of pisses me off. So it doesn't really matter what I think or the lyrics. You're just not going to do it.
Well, I can't right now. It's a little too cold. My fingers are freezing, hon.
Oh, I would warm them up.
Yeah. Well, listen. When the weather gets better, absolutely. All
right. Well, anyway, I didn't mean to intrude. I was just saying
not at all.
It would all. I know it would change. And can I ask you a personal question? I know we're on air, but are you afraid to perform?
No.
I know. I've heard the anxiety, and I understand that because I have the same stage fright. But I'm just wondering why you don't play more. You got such a great response when you did on your call, and you haven't done it since.
Well, here it is. If you here's the answer, straight up for you. One, I'll always be honest. That is one thing you will always get from me. Straight up, here it is.
Me too. Here we go.
With me, remember, when I got into this about 3.5 years ago, this interfered with everything in my life. Shut down the business, everything. I had very little time to do what I love to do. And needless to say, like a lot of people say, you've only been in this for about a little over 3 years? I said, yeah. And for some reason, I seem to be rather ahead of the curve. But that's just a lifetime that I drew upon because all the clues were there. I just had to pull them in. But it was intense. I mean, for me, it's anywhere from 14 to 18 hours a day, solid. And
you mean doing this or your other profession before all this happened?
No, this.
So you poured that into your music before and your family and stuff?
Everything, absolutely. Now, and here's the other side of it too, and this is where I'll pull it all together. You want to hear a bit about me? Here it is. Now, as a result of having discovered the things that I did early on, and of course my commitment to the truth, said that whatever I find, when I find truth, I will stand in it, and I will not yield from it. And I had a lot of very gut-wrenching decisions to make because I had my family.
Yeah.
You know, and I was the one that paid for everything.
Yeah.
That's where 20 years of collecting silver and what have you went. You know, I went rather quickly.
I understand.
Actually. And with what came down a year ago, February, and everything getting basically destroyed, what the guitar is for me right now is just a very uncomfortable memory.
Okay, that's exactly what I felt. Mm-hmm. So that is honest. Thank you. And I didn't mean to.
No. Hey, listen, if I can't
push, I am pushing because I'm a tourist.
Tracy, hon, and that's okay. I know. I work with a bull. Talk to Tony.
Hey, I'm not Tony.
I know that.
There is nothing harder than dealing with the male tourist. No offense, Tony. I love you so much. There's nothing harder, though.
But see, what Tony has is a beautiful grounding.
Yes.
Okay. So I mean, it all works. It all works. Now, no.
So that was really special when you shared the other night.
Of course it is, because you're getting me.
Because I honestly have never heard anything like that. Seriously, I was a musician when I was a child, and I had to give it up because I moved to the mountains and they didn't have an orchestra there. And I've not heard anything like that. I know art is. I don't want to pressure it. That's exactly the button I wanted to find out was if you're pressured on it or there's a wound there. That's what I'm saying. There's a wound.
I want to do it because I want to do it.
Right.
And when I do it, you're going to get the real deal without question. So I don't want to shortchange anybody. And
that's fine. At least it's in your head.
Oh,
you got all that.
Oh yeah, it's all there.
And now I got it because I heard you. So now I can play it in my heart and head too, even though I don't know. Because it is spontaneous. You're a spontaneous person.
Oh yeah.
So I don't even know what's played, but I bet you sometimes we sing the same song, even though I don't know where it came from.
Oh, like
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like the
very personal.
Last
private.
couple of days I've had hard to say. Dan Fogelberg turn going through my head in full arrangement, right? So,
and then it came, right, well, you saw my post. I think everything's kind of funny. You know, things are so hard. Again, with the Scorpio moon that I have, I feel everything incredibly intensely, way too serious, very deep, very biased, all that. So I definitely know how heavy the world can be. But then it can flip on a dime and things get so ridiculous because they are so intense, you know? And so just to flip it like that, which is what you do for me. I'm a very intense person. You help lighten me up and not be so deep in the water and deep in the earth and fly a little bit. And so I just wanted to offer you a little grounding. You know, there's always a midpoint. Mm-hmm. That's what I wanted to offer you. Your energy was very down, and, you know, my deep water cared a lot. And now we are on to a different subject, eh? So why don't we pick a subject that actually, let's pick a different subject, eh?
Oh,
or bring in another caller.
Yeah, I didn't actually think there was any subject going on here. I just thought it was more of open forum. We're just kind of hashing things out.
Well, there was, but because you were holding the rope with Tony, you both, you know, it takes two, so you were doing the same thing Tony was, so no offense.
Oh, you can't offend me. If you listen,
can't offend me either, because if it's truth, it's truth.
That's right, and if you listen closely, you'll hear the squeal of the choker chain on the pit bull.
Yes. So maybe your ego's flared up or something happened. I don't know what happened, but we can flip it around. Let's pick a different subject.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what I think from my perspective without anybody papering it over, okay?
Yes.
All right, because I need you to accept this now, because you haven't yet. I know who I am. I know why this energy shifted for me. I woke up beautiful energy this morning, and it's the sense of, wait for it, failure of completing something that I wanted to do today because I was too busy doing everything else.
What did you want to complete?
I'm working on some writings.
I know, but you go through this process every time, so it's okay. Put pressure on yourself. Get upset. That's fine.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. You know,
it'll come out in 2 days. No worries.
What's that?
It'll come out in 2 days. No worries.
That's the thing is, got to tell you, when you get to this position, there's not a whole lot to worry about. Like I said, the only thing I care about is I've got somewhere to put my head, and I got internet to talk to everyone, to bring it in, to bring this home. So,
it'll happen. You can pressure yourself if you want to. No.
I will, because that's the nature of life. I've always been this way. I've always led by example. Right. You know, of course it is.
Yeah. I know.
Hey, Kate,
we're agreeing.
Oh, I'm not saying you're not.
Kate?
Yeah?
I want to thank Tracy for being so honest with you and everything, but there's something I'd like to say to you without getting you on my warpath, getting me on your warpath or whatever, but you said something to Tracy just a second ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to put it in your face if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Are you up for that, darling?
Well, apparently I have to be, so it's all good.
Okay, yeah, you have to be. You need to hear this one.
Mm-hmm.
You said, I need you to understand. And my feeling about these things right now, after all these years that I've been doing this stuff, I don't need anybody to understand what I say. I put it out there. If they're ready for it and if they want it, it's theirs. I don't force it onto anybody.
Oh, no.
Wait a second.
Bad choice of words.
Well, no, but that's how you come across a lot of times, baby. And you don't need to convince anybody. Put your thing out there and let us pick it up when we're ready, you know. But for you have this great need to beat it into all of us. What you say is absolutely correct. And I would really like you to take a look at that. You don't have to convince the world about anything. You are beauty in your own space, and if we recognize that and can make that our own, if we're adult enough and mature enough and seeking enough to pick it up and make it our own, that's our gift from you. But when you tell us you need us to understand and this type of thing, it shuts a lot of people down, sweetheart.
Hey, Carol. I'm sorry to interject here. We all know the definition of understanding means you need to stand under. So you were correct on that. Red flag.
No, you know what, guys? Okay.
See, you're gonna.
Hang on just a second.
Hang
on. The pit bull's getting let loose here. Don't tell me at any point what the word understand means because you don't know. I do. You think you do.
Well, then share, please.
You're giving a legalese.
What it is. Yeah,
okay.
I know. Stand under.
Okay. What does break the word under down for me? Let's just do that one first.
Well, you're going to have to tell me because you're the expert.
I'm not the expert. I'm just going to show you a different way of looking at it.
Well, I'm asking you to share or show.
Okay.
me,
What does un mean?
Undo, unravel.
Without using un, you can't use it in the definition.
Oh, am I close?
Well, you got the concept. Yes, it means to be not.
Right.
Okay. What does the word "der" mean to you?
I'm from the 80s. I mean, stupid.
No. Well, the word "der" is actually the word "the" in German. Okay, as in der Keller, the cellar. Der means the, which is God, Theos, not God. That's what under means. That's only two parts of it. I'll rip this apart all the way if you want.
Please do. That's what we want.
So what you're saying when you don't when people say they don't understand, what you're saying is you're not God in standing. Now we can go into the Kundalini aspects of the S, and we can talk about love and the T, and the A being the reverse of the 6 in the mirror, which is yin yang, dark turned into light, and of course the N makes it possessive, as in mine, and D is of course the delta or the triangle boxed in. That's what this whole sigil game's about. Now we got U as the universal letter for electricity, which is pure energy. Mine, N again, collectively owned. D, there's that box triangle again. E, which is 9 in the mirror, reversed lowercase, which is yang, which is the opposite in the dark. And of course, there's ER in reverse, Re, son of God, Ra. Shall we go on?
No, I'm loving it. Yes,
okay.
Please go on.
This is my point. This is the point I was trying to make.
No, I know, but even
hang
if
on,
you
hang
get
on,
to me,
hang
it
on,
explains
hang on,
it.
hang
Do
on.
it.
Oh my God.
That was awesome.
This is what I was talking about at the start of the show. When people mindlessly babble on. Babylon, ring a bell, anyone? Does anybody hear anything that I say, or are they just caught in the spell?
Well, now you're first.
I hear you,
you're
Kate,
starting to speak,
and I know exactly
and why don't you mute me out? I'm loving it, actually. We were on S.
Hold on. I know where Kate's coming from, and this is just something I think that this what empaths may share. You know, you can feel the energy of what the person is trying to express, and words are the worst form of expression, personally, in my opinion.
Agreed.
I could not agree more. I could not agree more, because what people miss, here's how you get caught in the spell. What people miss is they listen to the words and they go back to their mental dictionary that they got shoved into their brains in school, and they miss the entire intent of it. Therefore, assumption and presumption is made, and of course little dogs, pit bulls that are on leashes get let loose for a reason. And this is re-sun. There it is again. You know, every letter, every
but Kate,
sound.
I'm here to listen to what you're saying. I'm not your enemy. I'm trying.
I'm not saying you are.
I'm glad that our little spat got you explaining. We were on the word S.
Oh, by the way,
or the letter S.
Female Kundalini. Very powerful letter.
T. Why you taught me T.
T. Note of love.
A. You taught me. A.
These are only variants of the same thing. Again, now what were the original intents of all those sigils? Do you know that? No. What we have to do is recreate it in our image. That's what I'm trying to do. This is what I'm trying to convey to people.
That's good, but we're just learning that we were under the spell. That. And I'm sorry that I, as a Taurus, I'm a little slow on it. I do understand what you're saying. And how about this? I guess if I was a real independent creator, then I would tell you what the letters would mean, because then I created them myself, eh?
Well, here's the issue that I find with most people is they get into a self-judgment conditioning. That's because of the system, and this is not. What I'm trying to share is coming from a completely neutral observation. That's it.
Actually, no. I'm coming from a neutral observation because I don't know any better. You have investments on both sides, and you're frustrated that you can't communicate both all your knowledge previous and your new knowledge, but I'm actually the one who's neutral. So
we can belabor the semantics all day long on it. fact of the matter remains. All I'm trying to do is share the things that I found to be extremely valuable, that I paid a hefty price for, that I don't want anyone else to.
Well, that's fine.
That's my intent.
I agree. And I'm going to, no, and what is my intent? Can you feel it? Is my intent to...
probably right now I have got shields up to such a point that I'm not going to be feeling much from anyone.
Right, and I agree
now.
with that. I agree.
No, that I'm not going to allow.
I know my intent, and I don't need words. And you already know or you can feel it or whatever, because that's what I am.
Words are the absolute worst way to communicate.
I agree. And here we are on radio.
Well, this is what these are about, And again, I don't have
I think it's ironic. I think it's funny.
Well, I think it's great because what people need to understand, what people need to hear, and I'm saying that for a very specific reason, this is my wish. Let's put it that way, just so that we don't misunderstand each other. My intent is pure. This is my wish for people to have this, if they wish to have it, okay? The trouble with words, the list goes on. What I wish for them to hear in these shows is my humanity. That I am just like you. I bleed. I cry. I get angry. I love. I win. I lose. I breathe. I get cold. I get hot. I go through everything that you do. And this is what I'm trying to share, because if I come across to people as something plastic, let's say.
Or not. No.
Well,
never.
This is my purpose. This is my role. I chose to be the servant of servants. And that was, in a sense, when I chose that, it was me choosing forced humility. That was my choice.
Yeah.
It would never allow me to step beyond those boundaries. So where I might come across very strong to people, the only thing standing behind that is an absolute love desire to share neutrally that which may or may not help. You see, this is why everyone, and I speak in third party from the singularity here, okay? What works for me is what works for me. This is my consciousness aspect. You have yours. You are your savior. I am mine. Mm-hmm. And in the process of saving oneself, we're actually saving all anyway. That's what the Illuminati meant when they say, if but one shall awaken. And right now, as Dan Fogelberg sang so well in Run for the Roses,
yes,
the wobbly knees aren't so wobbly anymore.
No, they're not.
I've had the
damn right they're not.
Beat out of me. And I'll tell you something, all it did was it reinforced it to a level that even now I find it difficult to comprehend. I ask myself, how do I get up every day and do this?
I have a deep question that I woke up with 2 days ago. I usually just only ask myself in my sleep my questions, but was wondering, I'll throw it out there, what is the purpose of 3D? I mean, why the fuck did we decide to do this?
Oh, easy.
What?
For me, that's an easy one.
Well, answer it. Somebody's laughing. Because we're all here, and this is the most ridiculous. I mean, this is crazy. This is the craziest place in the universe.
Well, yeah, again, when you were an all-creative being, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm talking infinite creation. You are that.
We got bored.
Okay. Well, when we go back to let's go to the singularity of the one, right? The consciousness that woke up one day. And I'm being very figurative and metaphorical here, okay?
Yeah.
Infinity is what infinity is. When that spark of consciousness of us, the great ourself, came into existence, because it always was, the only question that I can fathom that makes any sense whatsoever is why.
No, that is the only question I've ever asked.
Right.
So, but then that's an easy answer then. Actually, it is. Well, listen to this. Yeah. Because if you're infinite, and I do understand what that is, You get bored. God, us, we got bored. We got bored. So we created challenges for ourselves.
Yeah, go ahead, Kishi.
I've looked at it like, if we didn't have the 3D, if we didn't know what the unreal was, and see what the unreal was, how would we even presume to be able to recognize the real when it shows up?
Yeah. You wouldn't ask why. I mean, if we put ourselves in a position to even ask why, isn't that a miracle in itself? Being an all creator?
Well, that's the point.
We taste all parts of ourselves.
Yeah.
What we're dealing with is our own schizophrenia.
I agree. Exactly. We have to take personal responsibility for our own. But then we created that too. So if you ask why, then you have to ask yourself. And in a way, I guess it's all just kind of a game. Nobody really gets hurt because it's all ourself.
Well, exactly. And I will share an experience that was both beautiful and frightening at the same time. You see, when you have to spend 28 days in a row all by yourself, some of those are 3 and 4 24-hour spells, literally, where you are allowed out of your cage for maybe 20 minutes to go walk around in a slightly larger cage outside. You have a lot of things to reckon with within yourself, and you get to be the great ourself for a little while. So it was a gift in as much as it was a punishment.
Agreed.
Okay?
Give you time to sit with yourself.
Yeah, and we start understanding very quickly, and this is one of the reasons why people will not meditate, because most people will find, at least I did, there are a lot of things about me that I don't like.
Right, but why the judgment? I mean, even the division
Tracy, it's not judgment, okay? Seriously.
No, I'm asking myself, Tony.
Okay.
I'm asking myself out loud. I mean, why do I have judgment on myself?
Well, these are the things
kind of ridiculous in a way
that we have to work through. Well, here's the question for everyone: has everything in your life been absolutely positive and beneficial for everyone and everything around you, or did you screw a few people over?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
Okay.
Responsibility.
Yes, these are the things that I speak of looking at. Right. And
I understand that.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, with that in mind, this is where you get to become the neutral, all-loving observer. And we start to look at things from the perspective of good and evil on both parts. In as much as 28 days solitary can be conceived as evil, it can also be conceived of as good. And the opposite of love is not fear. The opposite of love is hate. The opposite of fear is the opposite of fear is courage, the age of the heart. Okay? Courage. And again, see, one of the things that I discovered very early on was I could not just look at English. I had to look at the derivatives and the breakdowns, because with my reckoning of Babylon was that we were speaking this anyway, and it got scattered out into all different languages: Hungarian, German, French, Lithuanian, Greek, Spanish, whatever. Okay? But if you look at all the languages, regardless, there are similarities, and everything gets drawn from every language back into English. That's why this is, for me, the original speak. That's close. It's very close, because we're only speaking
English.
Angel-ish.
Yes.
When something is ish, it is a mere copy of the original. It's close, but it's not complete. So what
Kate, I'm sorry to interrupt. My phone's going to die. I'm going to go back and listen. But
okay,
I'm glad we changed the energy. It was nice talking to you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, Trace. You know that.
All right, then. Bye.
Okay. Much love to you.
You too, hon. Bye.
Bye. Now, where was I?
You were talking about the English.
Oh yeah, right. Thank you, Kishi. What I'm working on now is how to speak angel, not angelish. Angel. Getting back to the purity where we can bust these sigils apart, and I am hell bent for leather on it. And please excuse my passion. if that gets in the way, because it will. I know me too well.
Would you like
what I heard you physically.
I said, would you like a copy of the angelic alphabet then?
Sure, if you got it, that'd be great.
Okay.
I'm working on reverse programs right now.
What I heard you basically saying to everyone, Kate, was that you don't have anything that we don't have. Really? You know, that's what I took from what you were saying anyway.
Exactly. You know, here's the joy of this. What I speak of is what you already know. There's just parts of this aspect of consciousness that remember certain parts of it from a certain perspective. And that's all I'm trying to share. This does not make anyone right or anyone wrong. Ever. This is the joy of this. This is why it is neutral. It is right down the middle. And of course, the only thing that will interfere in that is pre-programmed bullshit from this system. I know what it is. I had to work through it. I'm still working through it. You know, there are nasty little things that crop up of, you know, think of habits and you know, learned things that you have to basically unlearn and look at them again with a white canvas perspective. And that's all I'm trying to do. And I think with me, the real gift of music, and this is why it was a gift, and songwriting, et cetera, was it gave me time to really sit and download in a very euphoric state. And, you know, people say, well, you know, how do you speak like that? And how do you, well, I've spent many years of my life doing that. And it's like I look at a kid on a BMX bike that can basically make it spit nickels, right? And I'm going, well, I can't do that, but wow, you know, I look at the talent and the gift, you know, of coordination, et cetera, for what it is. And we all have gifts. You know, this is mine. And, you know what your gift is. And most people are so afraid to confront it. And I have to tell you, my gift was a terrifying thing for me. And the other side of it, too, and I want to kind of share this as well. The thing about being a songwriter, especially for me anyway, is regardless of what you think you're going to write, and whatever intent you think you have with it, there's only one guarantee that you're ever going to discover within that. And that guarantee is it's going to be pure, raw you. And the story. There is no hiding in a song. There is none. It is naked as for me, it's as naked as I could ever be in this lifetime. Because it's showing everything that I am. It's showing the vulnerabilities, it's showing the strengths, it's showing the love, the fears, everything. Like, that's why most of my songs, if not all, have two basic concepts contained within them, hope and love. And that's it. I mean, I had a friend of mine who used to, well, really good songwriter. Unfortunately, most of the stuff he wrote about was fear and pain based. You know, about a drug addict friend that killed themselves and stuff like this. And you know, as beautiful as the music was and what have you, every time, and I worked with him, I wrote a few songs with him too. Different energy, I assure you. But I got to tell you, as talented as this individual is on many levels, I always felt a sense of emptiness. But that was who this being was. They were very empty, very lacking in a lot of things, and it was made up for in pure ego. So I've been very, very fortunate in having been around so many songwriters in my life. And ironically, do you think one of them would ever call me? No. No. For me, that's kind of sad, but that's okay. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. You know, but it also tells me that I was right. It tells me what I was feeling and hearing in their songs at any level was exactly who and what they were. Because when people are writing about, you know, things like fear and loss and regret all the time,
shows where they're at.
It shows where they are, absolutely. And take, for example, the one piece, I've shared it with everyone on the air a couple of times, Prometheus Bled. I open that up very, very intensely for a reason, because what I want to do is reach to everyone that is in this walk. It's not an easy walk we take, guys, and you have my most humble courtesy of appreciation and gratitude in that light. But I opened up that little piece with a very, very intense opening. Last night I died 1,000 deaths, each by 1,000 cuts. It's not a very gentle line to open with. But by the time you get to the end of it, what you're going to find is that peace within and the strength to regain oneself and relift oneself, and to understand that you're doing the right things, and that you are being acknowledged for it. Because that piece, in as much as I wrote it from my perspective, I knew I was writing it from the perspective of anyone that is walking this walk and has paid the price. Heavily.
The restoration's there.
That's it. I mean, I with every song, I will leave you with hope and love. Every single song, regardless of what the story might be about.
That's beautiful. I'm glad you shared to Kate about your experience, about when you sit down and you are playing your guitar, and how that's so meditative for you, because everything can be made to be a meditation. Walking, singing, you name it, whatever really lights you up, you can use that as your meditation.
Well, absolutely. I mean,
you don't have to be sitting in the lotus position with the hands.
No.
You just don't,
No.
I think a lot of people do think that it's a case of, oh Christ, I'm going to be sitting here for hours on my ass, trying to get onto this meditation stuff, and it's not the case at all.
It takes seconds, anyway. And one of the things that Michael brought to the table the other night, I think it might have been last night, which was a very beautiful thing. And what he was describing is I've experienced. And he's actually the first person I've heard talk about it where, oh yeah, that's what, I knew what it was, but I just didn't really have a way of sharing it. And again, for me, many times I'm at a loss for words. I know that might sound a little bit different from what people are used to hearing, but this is kind of my quest to find the way I need to say it. But yeah, it's those electrical. It is. It's like electrical shock going through your body, and it only takes seconds. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Have area code 661 in the call now, by the way.
Yeah, hey Kate.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Good. I know who this is.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I just wanted to call
Kim?
Because I'm sorry?
How's Kim? Did I get it right or no?
You're wrong.
Oh, okay. 661. I know that number.
This is Aaron.
Oh, that's why. Okay, Aaron. Gotcha. Okay. All right, Gaia.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to call because I was listening to the first part, and then how it kind of shifted to more towards you, and the earlier part when you guys were talking about the levels of consciousness, and you're talking about the fear porn and so on and so forth. It's very important that people understand that there are levels of consciousness, and fear is like on the lowest possible plane, that's why the media does what they do, is to keep everybody in that frame of mind, which is why I can see why because you know that you don't want people to go there, and that's kind of the reason why you come across the way you do. And I was wanting to tell Carol that there, and it's probably not just Carol, it's probably Tracy, it's probably a lot of people, is that you are a light in a dark world, and because you have already been through so much pain, and you have suffered, you also have a lot of love, and you want people to get what you know, not what you believe, but what you know. And it's important that people, I think it's very important that people, I don't get offended by anything that anybody says, because I realize that everybody is in their race. They're on their path. And you may know something, and I may not be ready to know it, but obviously I was meant to hear it, otherwise I would not have heard it. Okay? That may not mean that right now I totally grasp it all and I totally get it, but it was meant to maybe plant the seed so that I get it later on. And so my caution to people would be just to get what you can when you listen to somebody, and you don't necessarily need to judge them on what you don't like. That's typically what we do, is we get to know somebody and we get closer to them. We kind of see their clay feet. And the reality of it is, we all have clay feet and we're all on our own path, and it's not my job to police you on your way. My job is to walk my path and to grow and mature and grow to a level of consciousness. And the last time I was on, I told people, I would highly encourage people to go get the book, Power versus Force, and read that book. And I think it would very much enlighten people and help people to understand the difference between power and force and levels of consciousness. So that's just kind of what I wanted to bring to the table.
That's a great point, Aaron. The power force thing is critical. A lot of people think they're one and the same. They're quite actually opposite. When one stands in one's power, one is absolutely neutral. There is no force required. What we have in the system is force. The system wants to force us into compliance. With
fear.
With fear, absolutely. And when we reinforce any of their system speak, is what I call it, any of their fear porn words, what we are reinitiating is another weed planted. Instead of speaking of the roses, we're speaking of, ragweed. And from my perspective, all I'm trying to share is how much I actually give a shit about everybody.
That comes across loud and clear. It does.
And that's it. And it really, when you stop and look at it, that is a very selfish thing for me to do. Because how dare I?
I'm glad you do.
But these are the mirrors I work with. And I have to see things from both sides. I've seen the world from both sides now. A great song. And what I'm trying to share are those parts of the world that I've actually seen both sides. And hopefully, as you were saying there, Aaron, with regards to hearing it, whether or not people get it out of the gate, I would say, I could say I don't care if they do. Of course I do. But I don't care if they get it right now. What I've done, hopefully, if I am, and I hate using the word correct, if I am correct, and my intent is what it is, then that seed will germinate. I don't need to be there. You see, that's the joy of it. It's you could take a handful of seed out into a meadow and just throw it. You don't have to do another thing, because in a few weeks you'll come back and you'll see this beautiful garden, or you'll see a bunch of ragweed. What are you planting? And that's all I'm trying to do, is plant these seeds in such a way that people will, one, be mindful of the words they're using. Are you using words of love, or are you using words of system speak to reinforce it? Because you're going to reinforce it either way, because that is the power of you. That is the power of love and the power of one. I don't have to force anything on anybody. And when I say I need people to understand it, that's my need. Nothing to do with you.
Right, exactly. That's beautifully said. I agree 110%. And I'm glad you said that, because I think that'll help clarify it for people. You are sharing what you know that you know that you know. And it's very important for people to understand that is why you say it the way you say it. Is because of that is the light that you're bringing forth. But it doesn't necessarily mean that's where I have to be, because maybe I'm not meant to be there at this particular moment.
Agreed.
But I am there. I am meant there to hear it.
Exactly.
Okay? And then allow it to see where it goes, and whatever resonates, is with me. I mean, it's kind of interesting because I'll get people on Facebook, I'll post some things, and I'll get some comments, and I always quote them back if they didn't like what I posted. I'll just say, I'm not trying to get you to see things the way I see them. However, I would like to see you think, and I would like to see you investigate. So before you condemn something, just go ahead and investigate it on your own. A true teacher does not need to tell people how to think. They just point them in the right direction, let them observe, and let them learn on their own. The problem with our society, the world that we have, is the fact that we have everybody that wants to tell people how they need to think, and the reality of it is, if you just teach people how to fish as opposed to fishing for them, that is the best thing that you can do. And that's what I constantly do. Is I'm more and more careful now about what I post, because I want to send enough out to where people at least just investigate and find out on their own. And it was interesting. I was having a conversation with my dad the other night, and we were getting on the topic of paying taxes. And I said, he goes, well, if you don't pay your taxes, he says the IRS is going to come after you. And I said, well, so you're telling me that if you're afraid that that's a good reason to do something.
Good angle.
Because, but we're not even observant of the fact of why we do what we do. We just do it, and we're not aware. We're not consciously aware as to why. And when I brought that up, there wasn't really anything he could come back with. And I said, and the only reason I'm telling you that, Dad, is just because I'm asking you to think about why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, that you've just defined, probably in the most eloquent way I've ever heard someone explain, cognitive dissonance.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you for that.
Agreed.
Again, you see, I have my way of saying things, and I don't always get it right. But I'll tell you, I'm giving it my best shot, and I will always acknowledge when someone says it perfectly. And because, see, this is the student here. This is what I am. I classify myself as the student more than I would ever dream of being the teacher. Because I'll tell you, what makes the best teacher is the one that is the student that is trying to teach. It makes you very responsible for everything you say. And I do want to actually add on to a couple of things that you said there with regards to what people post. I've had people post stuff on my page. It's Facebook. It is what it is. I use it as an observation tool only. And what I have noticed is every so often there is a slippage into, the drama of the game, the fear porn. But the vast majority of it that people share on my page and post there, it's great, I love it, are these beautiful things that I see of their own awakening, of their own intent. And it's wonderful. And I have to do a little shout out here for, these are the things that matter to me. You have no idea the abundance that is shown forth with just these things, and I'll share this. It might sound totally big, but check this out. Someone had asked about getting a copy of, I believe it was Hooked by Phonics. And before I had a chance to get to the post, because I was going through my email, Giuseppe from Lightworkers Media had shared the document already. And it's already up on Scribd, which I did not know. And when I got there and I saw that, my gratitude knows no bounds on that. Because what someone did, and this same with Chris in the room, the chat room tonight, in the Skype room, posted the link for the show. Because everyone knows that, before a show, it's like I try to get around to everybody to get the link out there. And it's these little things. These are the little things I speak of that mean the world to me. Because what it shows me is that people are reaching out without any other reason other than knowing that they can. Not that they should, but they know they can. And I just want to flow that gratitude out for these simple little things that make this simple little being so incredibly happy. And it offers me such a level of peace where I don't feel like I have to be handing fish out all the time. These are the people that are beginning to fish, and they're beginning to show in that way, and it's a beautiful thing. So it's the little things in my world that make the truest differences, you know. And boy, have I learned that one. You know, the other day I had a friend of mine popped by and went out for a tour and came back to explain to me that someone was living in my home, and I know they meant well, and I already kind of knew that anyway. But these are things that, and of course that's not a done issue either. Things have to get to where they are. But what I want you all to imagine right now is complete strangers, someone you don't know, walking through your home. And I want you to tell me what you think it might feel like. This is how much I care. All right? Because this whole time I could have been working and fighting and doing all the rest of it to hold a system to task, which I will anyway, but I'm going to do it my way with peace and love. And I'm going to do it by handing back the gifts. I'm going to do it by handing back the sigils in such a way that their own accountability. I have no need to judge anyone, because by one's actions one is already judged. Sorry, you cannot take back a slap in the face on someone. You just can't. It's been done. It is what it is. And the only thing that can happen now is the accountability and the pendulum, the inevitable pendulum swing of this universe to bring things most forcibly with much power into balance. If you will not straighten yourself out, I assure you the universe will. Did me. You know, so very, very well put, Aaron, with cognitive dissonance. Pay attention. That was, like I said, the best definition I've ever heard anyone. And you reversed it perfectly in that mirror. Ask yourself what made you afraid to think that you had to do that. And then you'll start answering the right and the tough questions. We have Stephen. Are you there?
Yes, I am. All good things to you.
Good things to you, my friend. How are things?
Very well, very well. Put out about 30 tomato plants and a bunch of peppers today, so the garden's doing well. And I just want to say, wow, what an energy swing. And great show. You've done a well job. You made a you related to the X bike, the BMX bikes when they twist around. Yeah, well, that's about the only thing I'll watch on TV is like those X Games, because them young people do some wild things on the skateboards and snowboards and bikes and motorcycles, and it's wonderful.
That's their art.
Now I want to kind of put that back towards you, since you brought that up, and there's a couple of things you brought up now you keep bringing up, and they're really great. A couple of days ago, they had the X Games on out of Brazil, and there was this guy on this motorcycle, and he comes up off the jump. Now picture this in your head, and he does a backflip on the motorcycle, comes straight forward again, and as he does, he's in line right on top of his motorcycle, and he releases the motorcycle, and they float together through the air. He's about a foot above the motorcycle. They're completely detached. Then he holds back to the motorcycle, does a front flip, and lands perfectly. And that is what you did. You are an X Game person. You started out with your show in such a beautiful way, and then the energies got really riled up and went all kinds of directions. You were doing your flip in the air, then all of a sudden you disengaged and you floated, and then you brought it right back to where you are now. So just wonderful. Good
observation, and yeah, I gotta tell you, I don't know how those guys do it. You know,
it's amazing.
I have done so many things in my life to quite literally scare the shit out of myself just to see how strong I was. That's why I took up scuba diving, and it's why I took up flying and all these wild and crazy things that, for lack of a better word, was just to challenge myself to doing things that at first I had trepidation. Now I got to tell you, the diving might not seem that scary, but when you're down at 100 feet and you start getting a little bit of narc action, that's the thing with me. And there's a couple of ways that that's narcosis, nitrogen narcosis. When you get too much nitrogen, it has two effects on you. One of them, it will get you into a state of euphoria, where you might get the sudden urge, and it can really grab a hold of you. You got to be mindful of it. You can always feel it creeping up, or it'll give you the urge to take the regulator out of your mouth and go over to a grouper and try to get it air. That kind of stuff, and it has been known to have divers not resurface. Let's just put it that way. And the other one is the one I generally experience, which is a sense of paranoia. And it's really hard to describe. It's not like fear or anything like that. It's just there's a heightened trepidation, and there's and of course it's like you smell the narc coming on. That's how I termed it anyway. And it's just like, oh, I know what that is. And as soon as you know what it is, it blows off. It's gone. It is that quick. That's why I'm glad I'm more of the trepidation versus the, got to get the fish some air thing, right? That's a bit mental. A lot of divers have been lost that way. They get down too deep and they can't. They weren't ready and they haven't had enough dive experience. I've done almost 300 dives, but
so have a lot of us that have dealt into the whatever you want to call the favorite word of the day, wormholes, rabbit holes.
Yeah.
You get down there so far and all of a sudden you just freeze up.
Yep.
But if you don't freeze up, good things happen.
Yeah, you start to find your limitations, and I think with me that's what I was looking for. Like Tracy was saying earlier about, do I have a fear of playing? No, and yes.
Sure,
and
we all do.
And it's not... I think the fear with me is this might sound crazy to people. Oh, by the way, we've got about 10 minutes on air. We'll just roll past as always. But with me, it was... how do I put this? There's a lot of things, conflicting things that go on here. It is not what you're getting up on stage and you don't want to screw up any of the songs. You don't want to flub the lyrics, and you want to make sure everything's perfect. And I'm not I am a very, very, very shy individual. Like, I know people might have a hard time believing that, but you see, what I have learned to do over the years is step into my power. And this is still a battle for me. And these are the things that I'm working on. And every night, and I got to say, like, now I won't call this old hat to be derogatory. I'll call this old hat because it's now a friend. It's now comfortable. And this is why I want people to come and get on the air. And, you've heard the calls. We've all done them, and I've done them too. It's my first time calling in. I'm really nervous. Of course you are. Because this is what happens when our imagination gets a little bit overactive, and we start envisioning tens of thousands of people listening, and oh my God, I don't want to see. That's the same thing I go through when I play. I don't want to screw up. It's like, so I get it. I totally get it, and I understand when people say that. I've been wanting to call in for a month or two or three or a year or whatever the case may be, and they finally get up the urge to do it. I get up the nerve to do it, and hopefully by the end of the chat, it's just been a phone call, because that's really all it is.
Well, one thing I'd like to bring up is that, and this is for Tony, I understand what the energies were going on there, but it goes along with what you just said about people. When they do finally call in, or they do finally look at something or listen to someone, they need to empower themselves to go forward with that they've been given, because once you have been given knowledge, it becomes your responsibility to nurture that and to grow with that. And I think that's what Tony was trying to get across earlier, was that, a lot of people are having a hard time with this, but they need to take responsibility with themselves. And when they get a piece of information, or if they listen to a show, or if they do finally call into a show and break that ice, then they need to take that empowerment within themselves. And that's how we all grow together. And I think that's what Tony, you guys might not have quite connected on what he was trying to say, but that's what I felt he was trying to say, is that we all are responsible because we are all parts of each other. And we all are going through different experiences and finding different ways of dealing with it. And boy, ain't it been a fun trip. And we're all, but it all goes back to the whole. All the information, all the learning, all the things that we do goes back to the whole.
Well, exactly. That's why your opening line, you're out in the garden and you planted tomatoes, and it's like, now there is doing. and that's a beautiful energy that comes right in. And these are the things that I want to reinforce in my own speak. I mean, my first 3 to 6 months of radio in general, this is all I dealt in, because that's what I thought the station wanted was conspiracy theory. And yes, it was very useful in my own awakening. What I'm trying to share now is we are so beyond that. We are so beyond Alex Jones. Listen, there's lots of word getting out about chemtrails and all the rest of that.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I just don't want to be party to it anymore.
Hey, did you see what Scott Pelley, the lead anchor and editor for the CBS Nightly News, did you see his lecture to that university the other day?
I just brushed past it, but it basically he's reported every story
Everything
wrong over and over.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. And when we start reinforcing these concepts, these are the victories. I want to focus on the victories. I don't want to focus on the anxieties. I don't want to focus on the things that are going to keep people in a less than ideal vibration. I would rather come up to someone simply and say, I love you.
Well, I have something to put out before the show's over with.
Mm-hmm.
This is a riddle. And since you brought up mirrors tonight on several occasions, this is a riddle that I came across some 30-plus years ago. And now this riddle has both I don't know what you'd call it, a physical realm answer to the riddle, and there's also a spiritual realm answer. Now, the physical realm answer I know, and I've known for years and years and years. But it took me almost 30 years to figure out the spiritual realm answer to it. It's kind of like reading the Bible or reading any kind of, text. So I'm going to throw this out there. I'm not going to give either one of the answers.
Okay.
And we'll just see who can get it on the physical and or the spiritual level.
Okay.
So, here's the riddle I learned a long time ago. If you're in a round room, no windows, no doors, you're just there, and the only two things you have is a mirror and a table, how do you get out of the room? And that's the riddle. You're standing in a round room, no windows, no doors, no way out. All you have in that room is a mirror and a table. How do you get out of that room? Because that's where we're at right now. We're in this room with no windows or no doors, but there is a way out. So, that's the riddle.
Well, I'd go straight etheric on it, but I'm going to leave that one for now. I'll share it with you one-on-one.
Okay.
All right.
It took me a while to get it, but I got it, my friend. It's great.
Okay. Well, hopefully I saw the same thing. But riddle me this, riddle me that. Again, these are the things, and and you nailed it. The Bible is full of those. Oh, and I should mention we're 4 minutes before we go off the air. If anyone wants to call in to catch what we're going to do past the hour, just call in at area code 661-467-2401, or of course you can Skype in and just refresh the page you're listening to. Hit the Skype button, and you have to do so within the next 3 minutes. If you want to continue on listening, or just tag me on Skype and I can pull you into the call. I do have a little room there, so by all means. But and a great big thank you, of course, to Critical Mass Radio, Paul, Lisa, and the crew for giving us, and I mean that without obligation, this gift where we can all get together and just kind of pour it out there. Just let it, that is a gift of gifts, and that I think really goes without saying. So, Paul, Lisa, and the crew at criticalmassradio.co.uk, thank you once again and every single time for this opportunity that we do not let go to waste. I assure you. Hate to waste a good gift, huh? And there you go. And we have actually another caller with a hand up. So let's get them into the call here. And great words of wisdom from everyone. Thank you so much. I get a chance to learn too, and this is kind of, if I'm selfish about it, that's what I'm selfish about. I need to learn. So we got area code 401. You are now, if the button worked, yes it did. You are now in the call. How are you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Good. What's up?
I've had, this is Gloria from Rhode Island, and a hell in Rhode Island, if you know what I mean. But I'm in the process of moving to upstate, the country, back to the country. And it's just so amazing when you just let go of all of that stuff, and they try and pull you in, and it's just so nice just to say, no, I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. And my daughter, I'm teaching her this, and she's only 18, and she saw something so horrific the other night, and we talked about death, and she even said, Ma, you know, if I died tomorrow, I've done most everything that I've wanted to do. You know, and she doesn't have $1 million, and she drives around in a crappy old Toyota, and she's happy with her. And it's so nice to see someone that young and have the world at her fingertips, getting it.
Absolutely. I mean, and just to reinforce the idea, there is no such thing as death, and that's the beautiful part of this. A great video, I believe. Oh, I gotta find it. I posted it. I believe I posted it. Bill Donahue speaks on that very subject in terms of. Can't even find the words for it. Anyway, I'll post the video. I would urge everyone to watch it. It's another beautiful effort from Bill. Like, he doesn't have anything but this man. But anyway, there you go. And I'm still trying to get him on the air. Oh, did we get bumped?
No. I'll explain what happened to her. And she was going up the Mass Pike, and it was Sunday afternoon. And she looked in her rearview mirror, and a gray minivan came up right behind her and then almost hit her, quickly pulled into the middle lane and then off to the shoulder, and she looked in her, and the thing just completely exploded. The windows blew out, and that's how we started the conversation.
Well, yeah, you're in, Sean. Sorry, go ahead, Gloria.
We could be gone in a heartbeat, and it's what you do with every second and who you smile at and who you're nice to. And, you know, there's so many dark people out there, and you just have to keep the smile on and the peace. You know, I wear this bracelet all the time, and it's a mega silver, and it's all peace signs, all different peace signs around it. Just wearing that bracelet, people act so differently toward you.
Well, that's the thing too, and it is about how we carry our actions and how we share our words, and why, for me, always being mindful. And yeah, I slip all the time. That doesn't let me off. For me, it doesn't let me off the hook. I'm thinking, okay, well, I can do this better next time. I can explain myself better this time, because here's the perspective from a Gemini. When there's a failure in communication, I don't go to anyone else but me. That's my job. You know, in terms of zodiac, right? So, and it's not about self-judging or being overly critical and analytical of oneself. It is having the very peaceful, non-biased observation of self, neutral. And, you know, when you find things within your own psyche, we all do. We go back, and with me, it's going back through things that I would have done differently with the knowledge I have now, and looking at them and going and realizing that, well, I didn't have the knowledge then that I do now, and it's most certainly something I would never do again, based on my new understandings and how I want to convey myself and how I want to be known by my actions. And that, for me, is the most critical, for me, responsibility I can take upon myself. And what Tony said earlier about looking in the mirror and being able to say, did I make that difference today? And it was a beautiful thing, beautiful feeling last night when I went to the mirror and I looked in it, and I didn't even have to ask myself the question. I just looked at myself and said, good job today. Good job. I didn't even have to ask. And that's that's the penultimate goal for me, to be able to just go and say, yeah, I don't know, yeah, I get it. Tonight might be a little bit tougher, but
we're forever tested.
Absolutely, every second, every breath, and I want to make sure that everything I conveyed was the most positive I could be about it, and not bring any dark visuals to the table. Things that of course, in regards to system and everything else, I do not want to reinforce anything of theirs. That's the old paradigm that we're shaking free of. Sean, you're itching to talk. I can feel you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was a little confused by this Skype. I'm a rookie.
You're a newbie.
But yeah, it's quite a show here. Yeah, it's just very interesting. I mean, it's you're talking about looking at your.
Oops.
So, we kind of live the duality life in general, just because we live this life mentally of where we question everything, and yet we have to interact with other people at the same time, outside of ourselves, and it's not easy to do, especially just doing certain things. I've always questioned everything, even simple things such as food, and the reaction I get from other people is, you'd be surprised. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Towards the negative. What do you mean you're trying to live off 400 calories a day? And I have a degree in nutrition, yet I question these things myself. I don't, just because I was told them. You know what I mean? It was in a book. So what? So. But the things you discover by doing those things it's incredible, just, we all have our own path, but, it's interesting, to hear the interaction, and how do we get past this, not necessarily bickering, but yes, it is kind of bickering, but to find out what are we actually supposed to be doing. Are we supposed to be moving forward, working together, eliminating that whole paradigm, by moving into wild edibles and things where we don't have to even depend on their seeds, anything like that. It's eliminating the consuming altogether, other than, to sustain.
Yeah, absolutely. Great chat today, by the way. Thank you for that. You mentioned 400 calories. I figure I'm probably running about that, or maybe a little bit more on a daily basis, and I'm fine. Again, it's about when you change one's mind, you change one's matter, and it is literally. That's going uber hermetic. I touched on that yesterday with the firewalkers, and that's a very focused sort of thing that they do, but it's still the same principle. And, and look at the program we all have to get through. I guess they talk about having, an adult at a certain age has to have 2,200 or 2,400 calories per day, and it must have this, that, and the other. And it's like, look at the programming.
Yes.
And
well, what's really interesting, Kate, is that I'm a very active person, and we're not talking about I sit around all day and I only consume 400 calories. I play tennis for up to an hour and a half at a time. I bike sometimes up to 15 miles a day, and when I come home, I'm not ramming the food down. And I live in Florida. I live in very hot, sunny Florida, and it's about 90 degrees right now. It dropped to about 80 this week, but we're talking about extreme conditions just to test the waters, test yourself, test everything you've been told, because life looks a whole lot different. Food looks different. You're not yearning for that, whatever that satisfaction is. You're not necessarily yearning. You're not in fear of it, because you don't need as much as they tell you need. So just some perspectives on things like that, and this whole looking at yourself thing it's a very difficult thing, but we're all looking at each other right now, and this is teaching us how to do that. It's teaching us how to interact and look at ourselves at the same time, and not be bouncing each other around with the pit bull all the time.
Oh, agreed. Prime example. I've had what have I had today? I've had a bowl of granola with maple syrup, alkalinity, and that's it. I'm fine.
It's amazing.
It is. It's amazing when you start actually looking at things from your perspective instead of the one that was ingrained in you. It's like Aaron had said earlier about thinking, and most people have been conditioned into what to think, and therefore that's how they think, instead of having their own internal freedom of learning how to think for themselves. And that's the difference between somebody needing someone to give them a fish or someone teaching them how to fish. And of course, the fisherman has to be willing to learn. And I think with me, and I'm always brutally honest, I have reached a stage of intolerance to a certain degree of those that are even unwilling to try and fish, yet at the same time they are hungry for what we're giving them. This is where you have to take the steps. I can't walk for anybody. I can only walk for me, and I can I'll explore all the things that I've been through openly with everyone. These are my experiences. I can't help you walk. I'll certainly be there if the efforts are made. That if you stumble, there will be one pair of footprints in the sand, and that'll be mine, and I will be carrying you. But the effort has to be made.
Hey, that lends itself to I heard a lot of talk tonight about sharing with other people, and I've done that, and it wasn't even so much I was trying to ram stuff down people's throat. It was just that I was trying to find somebody that would even talk to me about, it was a matter of feeling alone, I guess, and I was reaching out for that. And so, what I found was, though, it did create a negative energy, and not only in them, it did in me as well, because afterwards I did feel as though I rammed it down their throat. And, it took a while to come to the grips with that, but at the same time, I learned that I have to do this. I have to lead by example. I have to be the one that's living without money. I have to show that we don't have to be these consuming, constantly entertained beings. We can create that just being, just sitting, just enjoying ourselves. I stay up at night. I'm an insomniac, but I sit up at night for 9 hours. We're just watching outside, and it's amazing. But I'm not talking to anybody, but I feel like I'm not alone. You know what I mean? It's odd.
You're comfortable in your own universe.
And you want that for people, and I feel your passion in that, because it is such a beautiful thing when you come to that, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit about the abhorrence of money in general, and as I was chatting with you, this is not about anything other than changing one's intent. And that's it. When one understands what money really is, there's a whole paradigm shift in thinking where you're now, instead of handling it like it's just pieces of paper, when you understand it as the actual consciousness of all the beings on this planet, you're going to be a whole lot less consumerian, if you know what I mean.
Yes, and people will seek you. They will see you. They will seek you, and want to understand what it is that you do, how it is you maintain, how it is. People will see that. People will see you not reacting to the games they're sucking you into, and we all do them. So, when we're looking for attention, whatever it might be, we might just come out and say, to our friends, this is maybe why I'm doing things. This is maybe why I act a little weird sometimes, but this is the path I'm on. I want to let you know that if you ever want to know anything about it. But other than that, don't feel uncomfortable around me. That kind of thing. Because that's the reality of it. We're interacting with people here, so on the interface of it all, it's emotions and feelings and fear, and yes, that's like you said, you're bringing up a brick wall the second you bring that up, just like anybody bringing religion to you. So, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Maybe
closer to plate steel, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all I wanted to share with y'all. I just appreciate you having me on, and it's
And look at Sean, first-time caller, just in there and get her done. See? That's how it's done, boys and girls. Just show up, and I want to hear your heart. I've already heard everyone's mind. I want to hear your heart now. I want people to be original. I don't want any copycats. Here I'm going to be uber selfish. I am so selfish to the point that I want to see you, and I'm not going to tolerate any bullshit. Because I know what's at the end of that rainbow, and it is a pot of gold. It's your aura. You are the son of God, not this one in the sky that they like to worship. That's in the image of ourselves. We are on the other side of the looking glass once we start to see that, and you'll start to understand exactly how badly this trap has been sprung upon us, in that we look outside of ourselves for the light instead of within. And they've taught us for a very long time to be afraid of the boogeyman in the dark. And of course, anything that system teaches, churches, Rome, whatever, I'm going to go 180 degrees because I'm on the other side of the looking glass. So I'm looking for, and always have looked for, the deepest and the darkest places in which I could shine the absolute brightest and create my universe. Because I am light. I will not walk towards light. That's foolishness. That's the trap. I don't need anyone else's light to guide me. I will be my own light. All I want to see, like in the essay I wrote called Choices, all I want to see around me are all these beautiful flagships. Look at your universe. Look how beautiful you are. You're not buying their lie anymore. You're not buying into their illusion. You're not reinforcing the status quo of what system wants people to be talking about, to be focused energy on, to be that which you put your attention to, you put your energy to. It's all intent. That's all it is. Everything you say, everything you do is pure and utter contract with this universe. Every breath you take is a decision and a contract to stay in this body, to stay alive. Every urge that we have to maintain this physical illusion, we have to be responsible for. And I'm just taking full responsibility. I'm seeking the light within, because within me, as I'm sure many of you can share this as well, within me I found some of the darkest places that I had to shine my own light on. And these are things not just from this lifetime, these are things that we have walked through for infinity in our path to get to where we are right now. And as I've said before, every decision, every choice you have ever made in this infinite universe brought you here right now. Good choices. I can see you from here. Better yet, I can feel you. You see, nothing more deceptive than the eyes. Nothing more, because only when you close them will you start to find you. And put away all the foolish, childish things of everything around you. And when you start to come to terms with that, at least with me, as bad as things may seem in this illusion, nothing can ever take me from me. And I'll tell you, that's the difference between power and force. I won't force anything down anyone's throat. It might sound like I do some nights, but that's just my passion, my selfishness, absolute selfishness of wanting to see you. And I'm not going to put up with any pit bulls. I got a bigger one, promise. And that one is used to gobbling little pit bulls. It's well trained. And only well trained because I found it. And I was able to train it. Where now it's me speaking. And on occasion the tricky little bastard will slip in, and I know when it does, and I gotta get out of here. Sometimes people will push a button that I have my defenses down on. But I'll very quickly grab that and go, oh, okay, I know what that is. Turn it off. Reverse it. Moving forward. And I've said this before about reverse. We don't get out of here without reverse. Everyone's trying to drive forward through the looking glass. No. All you have to do is be Alice and step back, and the mysteries of the universe will come at you. Reverse. You, the Son of God. Right? Their sigil means something else, so I'm going to give you the mirror of it. The Re that they speak of, the Ra, is the one they want you to worship, the sun, their light, their reality. Sorry, no, you're it. You're the light. You're your reality. Ver, from the word verily, meaning truth. And of course, my favorite Latin word of all, se, S-E. That is your divine trinity of self, mind, body, soul, which is the himself, herself, itself. United. So that's how we reverse. We become the Son of God in truth of our divine holy trinity within himself, herself, itself as a singularity of one, and we'll find ourselves, at least I found myself, a whole lot less schizophrenic at the end of the day. I'll leave the schizophrenia for the people like Anger Jones and all the rest of the fear porn artists that are so busy trying to manifest their own reality. Bill Hicks said it, as far as I'm concerned, said it best. It's just a ride. Don't get lost in the ride. Don't get lost in the maze. Because when you close your eyes, you've already found your way home, Dorothy. You have, as Stephen was saying about the mirror and the table and the round room, you already have the door to God. You are Dorothy, the door of Theos, door of God. All you need to find is your little dog. Trade in that pit bull for a beautiful little Yorkshire Terrier called Toto Jeannery. Come into the game in your full character, in your full understanding of who and what you really are. And you are most certainly not what this system has shown you to be. You are not the meat stick slave that gets pushed around and pays taxes and all the rest of it. Far from it. That's what they wanted us to believe, and so many of us, myself included, bought it for such a very long time. I'm just not buying their Babylon anymore. And that's, I think, if anything, that's all I'm trying to ask people to do is yes, you cannot change things, or you can. I'll give you both options. Things overnight, you know, that's going to be up to you. That's your walk, your step, your ability, or lack of ability due to experience. And that's okay. This is not a race. This is simply a journey. No one needs to get to the finish line first, because inevitably one of us will anyway. And here's the thing. When one wins, we all win. That's the if but one shall awaken. It could be you. Did you ever think of that? It could be me. It could be anybody. But my eyes are on the prize. Because I want to prove the Illuminati right. Not wrong. If but one shall awaken, indeed. And there's 7 billion of us on this planet. I think the odds are pretty good. And in the twinkling of an eye, this whole universe will change, because the full deception will be unveiled. And for me, my focus on this deception is this one-dimensional visible light realm that is their creation. We just kind of jumped in here and got our asses stuck here because it was like a really cool game to come to. Yes, why? For me, why did we come here? Well, for me, it's like this. And Tracy hit it pretty good. The whole boredom thing. If you really want to know your true power, only when you know your true weakness will you discover that. And here we are, discovering our true weakness. Our complete inability, the perception of inability to wield our godly stature. I'm just done buying the lie. No, I'm looking at the universes that you can't see. And I'll tell you, the best place to find them, and the only place really, is when you close your eyes and get to know you. My family motto is Nosca Te Ipsum. And I love the direct translation of the word tea, which is a note of love. And this will probably reinforce it even more for you guys. Nosca Te Ipsum effectively means, in short, to know thyself. But the word tea, if you look it up in the English or Latin to English translator, it will come up as thus. You, this is tea defined. You, there is nothing sweeter than you. And they even capitalized the Y-O-U at the end of it. And I remember the first time looking at that when I was looking at the family motto, and I thought, you know, I knew that you type it all together, it comes up, know thyself. But when you do it individually, it's a whole different thing. And the Nosca, that is the we, that is the complete ourself. And there's nothing sweeter than you. That's what love is. Love does conquer all. It has to. It's all we are. It's all we have. We've been duped into something. To be children of a lesser God, no. No. The only one that would be afraid of anyone like us and try to enslave us are those that are actually far, far weaker. They walk around trying to force their ways. There's not much love in force. No, I'll take the power of love over that any day of the week. And you can shove as many guns in my face as you want, and I will laugh. You can beat me down as hard as you think you can, and I will cackle like an old woman. No. No. You can bend this oak tree as hard as you want, but you will never break it. And I know there are many of you out there that have that exact notion within your own universes. I know, I see it every day. Unless my eyes deceive me, my heart doesn't. So those are just a few thoughts I'd love to share with all of you tonight. And drive this whole point home of how beautiful you really are. B-U-T full. Be you love full. Better yet, be you. You. There is nothing sweeter than you. Full. Get it? This is why the sigils had to be cracked. This is why, because we're going to take these same things and we're going to reverse them. And our intent is going to be ours. And when we make that final claim on it, when we understand the connection between the power of you, the spirit, when you speak, you are speaking as a god, and they know it. That's why they had to entrap us with the sigils. So they're taking our power to snap the connection between you and their false, phony, phonetic alphabet. Yeah, I'm hooked on phonics. We got hooked by phonics. So I'm just going to take it to the next level. Time to be psionic, spiritual sound. Disconnect, move along, game over. And remember, as something I said at the beginning of the show here, I'd like you to understand that the brain that you have inside your head is your biological interface. Very handy tool, and it was the reason why it has been attacked so hard. Because all they want to do is interfere with the radio frequencies. We are infinite beings, and we have direct connection to our higher self. It's been messed with. It's constantly messed with. But all you have to do to reconnect, stop buying that. It takes but a thought. Are you going to let things affect you or not? Are you going to care about smart meters and all the frequencies? I don't. I don't care about a damn thing they're throwing at me because I'm not going to manifest it in my universe. I'm keeping mine clean. Yeah, and I'm glad, Sean, you brought that up. I probably live on about maybe between 400 and 600 calories a day. I'm fine. I can create my own energy, and this is probably the lesson I'm going to take from that tonight is that, yeah, I am creating my own energy. And I do. I push this body very hard. A lot of people, you were talking about the physical exertions. This brain doesn't stop working. Go ahead. You jumped in.
Oh, no. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's definitely between the mental and the physical. It's quite amazing what you can push the body to do. And I mean, for everybody out there, I mean, this is my little path. I don't have kids. I don't, this is what I worry about in my life. This is all I do. I mean, I work a little bit here and there. I'm, a modeler. I think, Kate, you said you were in the construction industry yourself. So I take on work here and there, but I pretty much live every day just testing this. This is it. So, it's amazing what you can, once you lay down the layers, to actually, when you're just face to face with food and basic survival, it's amazing what you can define as a truth. Put it that way.
Yeah, it's amazing how few Big Macs you can live on.
Exactly.
And without.
A few pieces of fruit, that's it. About a few pieces of fruit a day, and you're good to go.
You're good to go. And of course, I like to throw in the urine therapy aspect as well. That's getting your kidneys back into balance and purifying and. This is how we heal ourselves, It says it right in the good book again, heal thyself,
Yes, addiction.
Exactly, And hey, I've got my one little vice. I have the tobacco thing. Fortunately, it's real. It's not that processed garbage. And I look at it as sacred. And it's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. No, I'll tell you, it's just something that I do, and take it or leave it. It's just something that I do. Don't matter to me. It has no effect on me. That's the point I'm making. I won't let anything affect me unless I agree that it will or can affect me. And that is, for me, the part of changing one's mind to change one's universe. Are you going to be a cause over something or an effect to something?
And the intent, you were mentioning the intent with money.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, it's all about how you're looking at it. You know, like it's just for a typical day. You know, when I'm confronted with a constant barrage of plastic, you know, sugar water everywhere, you know, different varieties. It's, you know, when you start looking at it in that manner, that you're paying for all this plastic to pollute the earth. You're paying every time you go to work.
So very true. I mean, you can talk about recycling all you want all day long, but it's still fundamentally garbage. You know. Oh, I think we just got bumped.
No, you're still on, Kate.
Oh, okay. Tony, can you hear me?
I think Sean got bumped.
Oh, okay.
I'm still here. I hear you.
You're there.
Well, Tony or Carol, can you guys hear me?
Can you hear me?
Can hear you, Sean.
I think we got bumped.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
I'm here.
No, I know. You guys are all on the call with me. Of course you can. It's the board I'm looking at, waiting to see if we got bumped or not.
I'm on. I don't know about Tony.
Oh, there. Okay, we got the board. Yeah, Tony might have went out for a smoke. Okay. No, that's good. No, I just heard. I heard a drop. There you are. Okay. Good stuff. And yeah, always a lot of fun.
I wanted to say something really quick. I wanted to apologize to Tony and Carol and Trace if I jumped in at that one particular moment like a barking dog. You know, I wasn't trying to be scary or anything like that. I think my pit bull got loose there for a second, but I was totally absorbed in your conversation, and then you know, the minute Tracy started talking about other stuff, you know, I feeling what you were saying, and I wanted to continue feeling what you were saying, shall we say.
You did good, honey.
Does that make sense?
It's all, like Kate says, it's all good, you know. This interchange that we have every day. You know, some of us may get our nose out of joint for a minute. I know I have a couple of times. That was what Kate and I were talking about before the call started, and but I picked it up, and you know, she's made it so obvious to us that we need to really be aware of our pit bull and our short chain or on the loose, and it's all about discovering ourselves.
Bingo.
And it's all really, really, really good. You know, if somebody gets an awareness during a call about some particular thing in their life, maybe some people will get pissed off and never come back. We don't know, you know. But it's this interchange, and you know, we've lost that talent to interchange.
Well, I truly love you guys. I love the show so much. I love you, Tony, and I love you, Carol, and I love Trace, and love you, Kate. Love all the listeners, everyone who calls in. You know, I'm just don't get my vibe wrong in any way, please.
No, not at all. We're doing this together, and this is how we interface. This is how we learn. And you know, again, I've said it. I am just as well, hopefully, just as selfishly trying to learn, in as much as trying to share, because these are all, you know, shows, and these are all interfacing with ourselves, right? And I know there are things that people will bring up to me, and one of the things that I will say that and it took a lot of practice, because I've had a lot of practice. I do an instant analyze of myself. Anytime something comes up, it's like, okay, and I'm talking everything. Like, regardless of who I'm talking to, I am doing a razor breakdown of me to make sure that I am being as, like, right there as I can be. If there's something in terms of failure of communication, I'm going to go to me first, no one else, right? It's about keeping the intent pure. And I can anyone with the right intent can get away with anything they want to say, because it doesn't matter what is said. The intent will get carried through. And with me, the only thing that I've had to break in terms of this system and the sigils is that direct connection between the letters. That, you know, when people are off, you know, mindlessly babbling about anything, they're creating. And this is a responsibility that I want to make people mindful of.
Yeah.
You know, and here, let's create some rabbits. You know, it's like when you close your eyes and I ask you to say rabbit in your head. Did you hear it? Of course you did. That's you. That's how creation began. And somewhere in this infinite universe, there's a whole lot of rabbits. They do manifest.
Comment on a couple of things, Kate.
Yeah, please.
Okay, cool. I feel that it's important for those listeners that are listening to this show to take part in the change, and therefore by taking part they're doing something, and that is my main point. I would like to ask the listeners to actually go out and take part in being part of the change, not just listening into the show every night, just actively going out and doing something. That's all.
Well, they are. That I can guarantee you, and that is based solely upon the interfacing that I get on a day-to-day basis, and emails that I get, and the effects that this energy, and this is not just me. This is everybody. This is a team effort. We do this together. And when we put these ideas together and we get into these powerful agreements, this is where the true creation is. An idea is only good when it is agreed with. Other than that, it's just out in the ether. That's why the trigger words and stuff, that is in the ether, and people will instantly, because of the entrainment, will agree with that, whether they know it or not. But definitely the results are there. I mean, I've only shared a couple of things in terms, really, not even scratching the surface of the stuff that comes to me. Quite frankly, I would burn up entire shows just talking about that and sharing, posts and emails and what have you. I like bringing out the real juicy ones on occasion, like the one I got the other day that I shared. I love watching corruption get exposed, and I'll tell you, the only way to take out a vampire, we've talked about this, is to bring them into the sunlight. However, it's not the one up in the sky, right? That's what they do metaphorically in the movies. No, what you do to a vampire is expose them. If they have the energy, is you expose them to their own heart, and it will consume them. That is hell. Anyone ever tie together hell and Helios? Why they might have used the burning fire of hell? It's a cleansing. And we have that cleansing within us. And I've told people many times in the past, why don't you go to Helios in a handbasket? And what I'm referring to is, why don't you go straight to your heart and burn off the crap? Because we can walk around in this mindless Babylon all day long. And, listen, they even took music from 432 to 440. They went from the heart frequency to the mind frequency, because this is a war on for the mind, M-I-N-E-D, okay? And the vast majority of people on this planet have been mined for all their ore, Ra. So we're trying to close down the mind and get people back into the heart zone. And the easiest way to do that is to look at someone square in the eyes and just say, hey, you know what? I love you. No, you're doing pretty good. I love what you're doing. I love who you are. I can see you. Those are the things that really manifest, that really change, and really take us away from this, meat stick media universe that has been created around us. And I know where the intent is, absolutely, especially with Tony. I know where the heart is. That's without question.
Kate, can I say?
Absolutely, go ahead.
I'd like to quote my teacher, a teacher that I had, and he's very precious and dear to me. And what he told me was, don't be afraid of that fire. He says that fire won't burn you, but it will certainly burn everything that you're not.
Pure wisdom. Dare to get into your own fire. Dare to confront your own heart. Dare to look at yourself and say, I've been such an asshole. I have been so mean. I have been so hateful. I have been so spiteful. I have been so blaming. I have been this, that, and the other. You pick all the negative words that you want, and you apply them directly to yourself. And watch the pictures come up, and now we're looking at the real issues. Those are the things that we individually need to look at and confront. And so many, and you've heard them referred to as, skeletons in their closet. Well, it's time to have a look at those skeletons honestly within ourselves. Those are the vampires that need dragged into the sun to burn. Because until you do, that vampire is going to be leeching off you. and it's going to be feeding on your blood, and we all know what blood is, pure ether, baby. Mm-hmm. So the only one holding you back is you.
That to me is, sorry.
That's okay.
That to me is why, what you're talking about being able to live in 400 calories a day, and what Sean's talking about, and I do the same, This is what it's all about. It's the body, it becomes light body, basically. When you're being more of yourself, the body naturally comes to be exactly the same. It becomes light body as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And when
you just don't tend to need as much food or whatever else. Yourself about breatharian.
Yep.
People, they don't eat at all, yet they don't lose weight. They're still very much alive. In fact, more alive than you could even imagine.
Yeah, well, they found their inner sun, and they're starting to feed on it. And this is one of the things that, for me, is becoming more and more evident, because I'll be honest, there's even just the urge to eat it all is like, well, there's a waste of time. It's that's even more so over the last 3, 4, 5 days. And I mean, these are things that I'm coming to terms with within me. Is like, isn't that interesting? And yeah, isn't it funny how much we actually need and what we don't need? And it is the mind over matter aspect, and that's a fairly lengthy hike to get there. Still got a ways to go, but I'm walking.
Yep.
And that's all for me. That's all that matters, and that's, I think, another way of putting what Tony was sharing there. The intent is there, and those that are walking their intent, it's already creating tsunamis around this globe and in this universe. Again, everything's fractal. If you can actually look at the sun and the sky as being the heart of another of a vast entity, and we're merely the fractal, as above, so below, right? An atom within an atom within an atom within an atom. I mean, how many layers down are we, and how many layers up? Because it's infinite up, infinite down. Right? What is large? What is small? Well, that's only something based on a perspective of what you're seeing. Because I guarantee you, when you close your eyes, there's no concept of large or small. Get yourself out into the middle of space, and I dare you to tell me which way's up, which way's down. But again, it is, and it's so simple for people to do. And what I convey to people, from what Sean was talking about and myself in terms of money, I've brought this up already. This is how hard it is to change your intent. Just grab a marker out and write, flesh on a bill.
I heard you say that the other night too.
Still a $10 bill. See, Sean, I'm having trouble getting back. Now he's a newbie, right? So, he's off. Okay, great, Sean, awesome. This is a matter of changing one's intent only. I mean, you can go out of your way and try to do something grandiose or whatever, and what have you. But for me, it's still the same thing as writing something as simple as flesh on a $20 bill, box of signatures. Just silly little things. Because what you're doing then is you've changed your intent on it. Now you're having fun with it. And see, there's a beautiful way to cancel fear. Just laugh at it in the face. You'd be amazed at how quickly people back down when they feel like they're being laughed at. When people feel like, they've said something in all of their power, and of course, you kind of, and you know what I mean. And I've used the example before. Imagine if there's a group of 5 or 6 girls standing around, and there's a couple of cops standing over. If the girls started looking at them and then giggling and in a ridiculing way, those cops will move along rather quickly, because that's an energy that people cannot handle. That's exactly how we get rid of the dark. You just look at it and laugh at it. But other than that, I mean, this is it's not rocket science. It doesn't take a lot of effort. Just change your mind, change your intent, and watch this world change even faster than it already is. That's why I don't want to deal in any of this crap anymore, because I know it's getting better. I know it. I don't think it or believe it. I know it. And well, yeah. I mean, and I've said it before. The measure of anyone's perceived hate towards anyone is in direct relation and mirrored of the love they have. You know, think of a relationship you had with someone that, you know, reached the epitomes of love, and then things went south and went sour, and then all of a sudden there's this hate that has taken over. And I'll tell you, the more intense the hate is only a measure of how much love there was and still is. Because they're just different degrees of the same thing. Love is hate is love. It's just they're only separated by degree. And how far apart do you want to go from center? Or can you dare to walk back towards that center neutral? Can you dare to first look at your own responsibility in especially relationships? Look at your own responsibility in what went wrong, or are you too busy blaming everybody else for what they've done to you? What part of the equation did you miss? What part of the responsibility of being with that individual did you not take? You know, and this is where I see a lot of people that have this all throughout my life, especially songwriters in the circles. You know, where people have placed their own ideals of what they want in someone else, and when something doesn't quite go the way they want, well, then all of a sudden the other party is the asshole. See, that's the difference between wanting to possess something and unconditional love. Because the thing about unconditional love, regardless if it's a relationship, you know, intimate or friend or whatever, the aspect of unconditional love is being able to look at someone and go, I can accept my flaws as much as I can accept yours. Because the minute you think you're perfect and you did everything right, and somehow somebody else is fully to blame, and they're an asshole or a bitch or whatever the case may be, I don't care. Cry me a river, and make it a fucking deep one, because I ain't got time for paddling. I want to take an ocean liner on it, okay? And that's what we got to do, and we got to stop blaming outside of ourselves. We're only blaming in the illusion, and who are we beating up? Ourselves. At the end of the day, we're only beating ourselves up. So this is why I just urge people to take a breath, step back, consider the others, all of the others first, to see how you fit in the equation. Instead of trying to be a rammy-jammy little piece that doesn't fit in that particular puzzle, because you're too ignorant to see it, why don't you just move around the puzzle a little bit, and then you'll find where your piece fits. And when you do, doesn't the picture get clearer? I think so. And the more pieces of the puzzle that we become and fit into that overall puzzle, that's when we're all going to start to see the picture of everyone and everything. At least for me, anyway. You know, these are, you know, call me idealistic. I don't care. But these are the things that I see. These are the things that I wish to see. And without trespassing on your free will choice to see otherwise. I'll just be unconditional about it.
That's true. It's getting into the habit of saying, you know, what am I thinking, what am I speaking, what am I doing? And looking at that, you know, what one we think can I do differently next time round? Yeah. The opportunity always comes around again to do better, that's for sure. Well, exactly. You know, we put too many limitations on ourselves by putting expectations on others. And we need to stop doing that. You know, just because something doesn't work out for you doesn't mean to say you blame the world for it. You know, that was just an experience. Can you look at it neutrally and go, what do I need to learn from that? Oh, that's someone that I don't need to be with again. You know, that's something that I would do or would not do again. You know, instead of, look what the system has done to us, and we bought into it, our own free will consent. They've turned us into, well, many of us are escaping now, you know, robotons of, you know, egotistical diatribe, where people are trying to be something they're not,
and be with someone that they want them to be versus who they really are. So who's the selfish one there? Quick, hand me my mirror. I need to have a look at that. And at the end of the day, that round room and that table with the mirror, you might want to gaze into that mirror and maybe see beyond it. It's all illusion. The only one that's going to trap you is you. You want to get caught in a bubble? Go ahead. Me? No, I'm all right. Because I'm going to take the mirror up first, and I'm going to be strong enough to look at it and go, you did good things today, you did bad things today. And every day has, here's the joy of it though, when that beautiful good far outweighs the little snippets of, the thoughts, everything else that may not be completely positive. When you start, I call myself out on anything that I say, I call myself out on. Hey. Literally. That's breaking these habits. That's breaking these programs that we've been so indoctrinated within. And that's a tough road. And the beautiful part about it, though, it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't. It doesn't matter what you've done, what you've said, as long as you change your intent. And that's it. It's the difference between, I love using this one, it's the difference between calling someone, hey, asshole, how's it going? And, hey, you asshole. You see the difference in intent?
Yeah, that's all about intent and tone.
Right. Same word, different intent. That's why when I speak of the language, I speak of it very, very specifically. Because what most of us don't know, what most of us have been trapped into, are the sigils. And we underestimated their power. Not anymore. No. Now it's time to change the sigil.
Talking about sigils, I wanted to share this with you several times in the last few days. The other day you said Babble on instead of Babylon. And man, did it hit me. Babble on.
Yeah. I love that one.
I love that one, Kate. I never thought of Babylon as Babylon.
Yeah, the babbling brook. Shut the mouth up. The waterfall is making a mess of the place here, Of
course, I knew about the Tower of Babel from the Bible stories when I was a kid and everything, but I never put it together. Babble on. Just run your mouth and babble on. And boy, did you bring that home for me. I love you, dear one. That's great.
Yeah, it's a cool one. It's one of my favorites.
I didn't know I'd never heard the word sigil before. And so now I've found it in my dictionary finally, and now I understand it through you using it and throwing out some information about it and everything. But now I know it's a symbol, it's a letter, and putting the sigils together. I've learned so much from you. Thank you.
So all we try to do, hon, is bring these reservoirs of experience, and again, the importance of being tapped into your own higher self. That's where your memory is. And you'll be amazed. You remember they talk about remembering, right? So this is why we have to reconnect. This is why they had to shut us down using that biological interface called the brain. And, that's why they want to calcify the pineal. That's why they want to get the fluoride. That's why they want to get all this other stuff into you. Now, here's the joy of that, because, quite frankly, it will not affect me. Because I won't let it. In as much as Rasputin didn't let cyanide affect him. See what I'm saying? Same way that the firewalkers don't get their feet and legs burned off. It's the same approach. Daniel in the lion's den, right? Same as the three guys in the fiery furnace. This was all mind over matter. And that's what they're trying to explain there metaphorically. But sigil, S-I-G-I-L. And here's the thing, they can be used for good, and of course they can be used for evil.
I'd have to interject, it wasn't necessarily mind over matter, it was mind over, or heart over mind.
Yeah, heart over mind. That's more accurate, thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's far more accurate. See, with me, the true mind is the one that's pumping in your beautiful central neutral region. That's why they call it the solar plexus. Solar almost sounds like the sun, yeah? Yeah, and it has been scientifically proven, located, that there is a bright little spot of energy within your vortex. It's the center of your Merkaba in your heart, by the way, that typically burns between 3,000 and 6,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Did you never wonder why, sentient animals are warm-blooded? No?
As above, so below.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Yeah. And how the warm-blooded creatures actually stayed warm? And what separates us from the cold-blooded ones? You see, the cold-blooded need the worship of Ra, the crocodilian, reptilian, amphibian types. Yeah? They need that. That's because they worship it. We on the other hand, along with the other warm-blooded creatures of this earth, are all sentient sons in and of ourselves. I just chose to, I will have no other gods before me. I don't need to. I am God, so are you. Thou shalt have no other gods before thee.
But there's others on this planet that do not have the same God.
Exactly. And that's kind of the game we're in right now. So
yeah, we are. There's more than one species of human beings on this planet, and you have to figure out which one you are. And when you do, then you know.
Well, yeah, and the ones that you're speaking of are not the real ones. But they look like it. That's why you can't trust your eyes. That's why you have to know the deceivers that are everywhere. The only thing you can trust is your intuition, and that's why they wanted to pull us away from the divine feminine as well, because that is your ace of aces. That's why women are more intuitive.
You know what I love is there's always a couple of ways of looking at things every day. You can look at it one way and go, okay, I understand that, and sometimes the ego flies up, or sometimes something else comes up, and then the next day you look at it another way. But at the end of the day, you have to realize that there's a reason why, call it what you want, but why the Bible says that there are only few that will make it through the eye of the needle. Because there are only a few of us that are human beings.
Yeah, and it's funny you bring that up. What a coincidence. We got area code 937. I'm going to be really quick, and you can have your say. We got about 4 minutes here. It is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter through the gates of heaven. The needle, by the way, is a doorway in a walled city. That's your Emerald City. And in order for a camel to get through the needle, it must be fully unpacked. The camel is the representation of your spirit. Soul is your luggage. And the only way that you get through those gates is if you unpack your baggage.
You got it.
It's the only way. And most people don't know what that was, but there you go. Anyway, area code 937.
Hey, Kate, it's Vincent in Dayton, Ohio. How you doing?
Good, Vincent.
Hey, I'll make it quick. You pretty good. You said we only have a few minutes left.
You get the last word, my friend.
Okay. Were you alluding that you're able to buy natural cigarettes? My wife's been smoking, and I've been trying to get her to quit.
Mm-hmm.
She smokes Marlboro Light 100s.
You got a reservation near you there?
An Indian reservation?
Yep.
No, I don't think so.
Have a look around. You might be surprised.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I go.
I've also, on a side note, I've also been spending, I think it was Sean was saying he's been spending a lot of time out. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. There's a lot of beating going on there. Not sure who that is. Keep
Not
going.
me. Just that I've been outside a lot, sun gazing again. Noticed I hardly have an appetite. Been eating a lot of bananas, drinking water, and hardly have an appetite. Is there a benefit in gazing at the moon as well, or just the sun?
The moon is the mirror. That's another show. I'm going to cover that one.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm not sure what that beeping is. That's pretty bizarre. We haven't had this one yet, so there you go.
It might be somebody whose phone is going out and it's beeping for them. They need to hit *6 or mute themselves out if they can. I've never heard that either in all my years on doing this.
Weird. Anyway, well, we got about 2 minutes left here, so let's wrap this puppy up and we'll carry on tomorrow. No, someone's trying to fax. Anyway, Yeah, great effort tonight, guys. Incredible effort tonight, and I can't be more grateful. Oops, we got area code 250 jumping in real quick. You got about a minute.
Is that me?
That's you.
It's me. It's Hazel.
Hazel, how are you, hon?
Good. I just want to say hi to Carol and Tony and Tracy and you.
Hi,
Hazel. Show tonight. Hi.
And we got Stephen. We have Gloria. We have Kishi. We had Sean. He's popped off now. And who else we got? Vincent, of course. And who else?
Hi, Hazel.
Hi. How are you?
Good.
Great.
Well, we got about a minute left here, so you're going to get the last word, hon. I thought
Good.
Vincent
Just sending out some love. Lots of love.
Excellent. Right back at you.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, sweetness. That's beautiful. Now, guys.
Well,
I can't thank you. What's that? Oh, okay.
Could you hear that?
Yep. It's all good. It's all good. Just want to say... That's all right.
I thought I muted out, Kate.
That's all good, my friend. It's all good.
I yelled at my dogs. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Actually, it was all muffled anyway. It's all good. I just want to say thank you to everybody. The way we did this together tonight. It was beautiful.
Ditto and back at you, beautiful.
Okay. So good team effort, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. So.